Gray turns 36 in November, and he still feels he can be productive. He wants one more crack at winning, one more shot at the postseason. And these last three starts, including this one, they've all been high profile. At Dodger Stadium, Cubs on Sunday Night Baseball, here on Fox tonight. And he said, as Adam Wainwright mentioned earlier, these kinds of games get his juices flowing. He said, I do want those moments more. They're fun for me.
Alongside Alex and T1 on BK, breaking news here on BK and Ferrario. As just a little while ago, the St. Louis Cardinals have traded, according to reports, Sonny Gray to the Boston Red Sox. Alex, I'm surprised by a lot of things with this trade. Not so much that he's gone, but a lot of the elements of this deal. You guys can get your thoughts in youtube.com/101ESPN STL and 314-399-9646. That's the Air Comfort Service text line. The first piece of this trade that surprised me was the return, because it's the first element of the trade that we learned about. For Sonny Gray, the Cardinals are getting the number 5 overall prospect in the Red Sox system, according to MLB Pipeline, Brandon Clark. He was a 5th-round pick in 2024, so a year and a half ago now, 5th-round pick for them. Big-time stuff. I mean, huge stuff. Gets up to 100 miles an hour with his heater. Slider apparently reaches about 89, 90 miles an hour, and it's got crazy movement. Opposing hitters, now he was only in high A ball this year, and he didn't get deep into games, but opposing hitters hit 128 against him, and he was striking out the world. He does walk the world. There's a lot of volatility in who Brandon Clark is as his pitcher. He's a lefty, 6'4", 220. I mean, everything you could want in a starter pack of a future front-end starter, he's got it. It's just a little rough around the edges right now. This is what you bet on.
Survived with a walk rate that was high.
This is what you bet on, man. This is the perfect kind of prospect that I wanted to see them acquire this offseason. I didn't think it was coming back for Sonny Gray, though. Second element of this trade, they get Richard Fitz. Hold your jokes, Alex. I know it's going to be hard for you today.
I can handle that. Click.
Richard Fitz.
That won't stop me!
Made 10 starts for Boston this year. Now, this is kind of a classical Cardinal starter. Back into the rotation starter. Doesn't have a lot of swing and miss stuff. Decent hit and throws 95, so it's better than some of the pitchers that the Cardinals have.
Also,
honestly,
he's 6'5", 220 pounds. That's a big boy up there.
Yeah, big boy. Throws a little harder than the Cardinals in the past. Gets a little more chase than the Cardinals have in the past. A legit number 5 starter for them with control and flexibility. He can go down to the minors this year if you need him to. So, all right, cool. I like that, too.
Well, considering they haven't had anything to go down to the minors for, that's nice to have.
I'm surprised Sonny waived his no-trade clause to go to Boston. Doesn't exactly seem like a market that would fit him, but God bless you, man. If you want to go compete, that's a spot that I expect Boston to be good this year. And then the final element that surprised me. The Cardinals sent $20 million to Boston with Sonny Gray to improve the prospect package that they get in return. They basically bought prospects here, Alex, because Boston is going to be on the hook for about $21 million. Cardinals are going to be on the hook for $20 million in this. So they're eating almost half of the deal. And in return, you get 2 legit starting pitcher prospects. Hallelujah, man. Kudos to Chaim Bloom. This is a new era. This looks a hell of a lot different than the trades that the Cardinals have made in the past, from including that kind of money in the deal to getting that kind of upside in return. I'm thrilled. I think this is a home run. Well, I don't know if it'll work. These guys might suck, and it doesn't matter because the process was really freaking good here, man. Kudos to Chaim Bloom. I'm thrilled today.
Well, and the other element that you didn't add that I didn't expect to happen was it's checks calendar November 25th, and the Cardinals made a roster move.
Hello, Chaim Bloom.
Yeah.
Jump the market.
All hail Chaim. Like, that's the thing. Like, even if it doesn't work, they got a 22-year-old pitcher who has elite tool sets. Depending on what this looks like, you're banking on the future, and you traded a guy that was not a part of your future. When I saw that he was traded, and then the initial report that was like, oh, yeah, nothing's being sent in return, I'm like, oh, cool. So this was a pure salary dump. They paid money to get rid of Sonny Gray, but also they paid money to get a legit starting prospect. And this is what you do in a rebuild. You retool your minor league system. The other factor into all this, which should get people excited, is, man, they did this for Sonny Gray. What do you think is going to come in return when Brendan Donovan gets traded?
Yeah.
So, like, you offset Sonny Gray, you bring in a really good prospect tool set. Now you've got a minor league system that you trust in terms of developing pitchers, because Boston has been just a factory for that these days, apparently. Chaim Bloom was a part of that for the longest time. This is how you start the process of reshaping this roster to make it competitive for the future and hopefully competitive now. You know, what falls after this move? Do they become more aggressive in the free agent market to go find a starting pitcher maybe that they can tie into their rotation? Or do they just continue to churn through some of these pieces on their own major league roster and go out there and find pieces that can help them win sooner rather than later? So A+ on this one, just because they took a chance and they took a risk compared to what it's been for years past.
Now, I don't know how the cash is going to work here. Like, are the Cardinals covering the buyout? Are the Cardinals sending all $20 million this year? But let's assume they're sending the $20 million all this year, just to, like, worst case scenario, all of it comes off of the book. They're still saving $15 million here. Mm-hmm. That's not an insignificant amount of cash. Now, if they do something similar with Nolan Arenado, where they cover, I don't know, $15 million on his salary, that means he would be $10 million for wherever he goes, which, hey, man, even if you hate Nolan Arenado, $10 million for a defense first third baseman is fine. You know, you can make that work if you're another team. That means they would save in this scenario, again, sending $15 million with Arenado, $20 million with Sonny Gray. They would still be saving in that scenario about $25 to $30 million for the 2026 season. That's a lot of money, guys.
Sounds like we go get Dylan Cease
to get off of your books. That would put their payroll, like, in guarantees down to like $100 million or less heading into the 2026 season. You do have money to spend. I mean, I anticipate that they will be going out there and assigning some kind of a starter this offseason, because right now your starting rotation looks like Libby, Palante, McGreevy, Fitz, Leahy.
Yeah.
Eventually, Quinn Matthews probably. And then, I don't know. Like that's kind of your six as of today.
At some point.
Yeah, I think you probably want to add one or two more to that group. Probably another AAA starter as well that you feel good about coming up and down if you need to. But adding one more high-level major league starter prior to the start of next season, not just for 2026, but beyond, feels like the kind of thing they need to do. Because right now, you have nobody that can lead this rotation. As of today, your number one starter is Libby? Like, opening day starter would be Libby, I guess? McGreevy? One of those two, right?
And the other thing, you don't have a lot of innings in that rotation. Like, I mean, McGreevy's the one guy I would say right now, like, you could probably put him down for 180.
Fitz is going to give you innings. I don't know how good they're going to be, but he's going to give you.
Yeah, but it's better than what
will give you innings.
It's better than what the last couple of years have been like.
I don't know about the whole Palante will give you innings thing. I wouldn't count on that one. But yeah, either way, yeah, you've got flexibility. There you go. That was a better description. That one I could agree with. But yeah, either way, like you've got money now to spend to add to that rotation, and you don't want to just throw these guys into the deep end here. You know, I understand Libby looked good, but he, again, fell apart in the second half. Why? Because he lost velocity. Who knows if he's going to be able to sustain that? You look at a Kyle Leahy. If he gets to the rotation, he's going to have a bit of an innings limit, kind of like Liberatore did this year, or maybe not a limit, but more of a caution once you get into that second half. Again, really, the only guy you have that can eat innings is McGreevy, and then this Fitz guy potentially. So you are going to need to add somebody to it. And now that you've freed up some space or freed up some money to get off of the books, you could go out there and go a little bit splurging this offseason in what is a deep market. And this is the first time I'm willing to say, okay, I do think Arenado is gone. Because I knew they were willing to eat money. They had been reporting that. I didn't know how much, right, to make it happen. They just threw in $20 million in this deal. That seems to signal they're going to eat whatever it takes to get Arenado off of the books for sure. And
it's important, too, to like they're not getting anything in return like this if they trade Nolan Arenado. Even if they're willing to eat money, I don't think there's value in Nolan Arenado to the other team other than you're getting them and you're getting money eaten off of it. But if you're cutting that off of the payroll, the books, if you're cutting Sonny Gray's off the pay books, that's what the Cardinals' whole motive was in this, to get off of these contracts, open up some flexibility, and then find out, because it feels like you could cut the dead weight off of the books, and then you can start to kind of create and put together this puzzle of a roster when you move out some guys that have value around the league. I
think we're focusing a little too much on 2026. Yes, it is about getting those guys off of the books, Alex. It's also about getting players that are going to help you when you're winning again. Sonny wasn't going to be here in 2027. Wasn't going to happen. He was not going to be a part of the St. Louis Cardinals in 2027. So if you operate with that, if we're trying to get good again in 27 or 28, well, Sonny's not a part of that. He's got to go. Arenado's not a part of that. He's got to go. If anybody else on the books right now is not expected to be a part of that, they've got to go. Whether that's Lars Nootbaar, Brendan Donovan, whoever it is, they've got to go. So we got this from Rosie on the text line saying, wait, a takeaway from trading Sonny Gray is that we now have the flexibility to sign a good starting pitcher. Is it not a move to enhance the team next year? That makes no sense. Yes, it is flexibility to sign a good starting pitcher for next year and beyond. Or to go get a starter like a Dustin May or somebody that's taking that pillow deal. You put them into your rotation, you can guarantee them innings. This is something the Cardinals have not been able to do in the past, but you guarantee them innings for 2026 and say, hey, I don't know where you're going to be on August 1st, but I can tell you this. From April 1st until August 1st, you're going to be a part of our rotation, and then we'll give you a chance if you pitch well enough to go out and play for somebody else and play for a contender. If you're pitching well enough, that's up to you, though. That's your part. You've got to make good on that end. It's what Nick Bukestad told us, Alex. He had a down season, wasn't getting as much playing time. He signed with Arizona because he wanted to find his game again. Mm-hmm. And he said, hey, when I signed with Arizona, I knew there's a chance I get traded. I don't know where my future is going to be, but I need to find my game again. So he signs with Arizona and finds his game again and recoups some of that value. That's what the Cardinals can potentially do with their rotation next year. They can go one of two directions. One, they sign somebody that's going to be here for the long haul. Two, they sign somebody with upside that could earn them back some prospect pedigree at the deadline, the way Sonny Gray just did for you during the offseason. And you continue to churn through this roster to add talent that can help you in 2027 or beyond. Even if those guys aren't here in 2027, they could then be flipped as trade capital in future seasons. So this is only the beginning, but hot damn, it's a good start.
Yeah, and I'll add this too. For looking ahead to the offseason, what lies ahead, because they have acquired a arm that's controllable, that is major league ready, and this fits, they don't have to target that in the Brendan Donovan trade. They can now target more upside if that's what they are looking for. Now, that could still mean it is an arm that is close, that is controllable at AAA. But I remember us talking when there were some of the breadcrumbs coming out of the general managers meetings, and it was, hey, it clearly seems they want at least a arm to come back that is controllable, that is close. Well, check mark on that. They just got that. Now for a Brendan Donovan trade, when they make that happen, they can target whatever they view as the best upside package that they receive.
Whether that's a prospect or whether that is a guy that could be at the major leagues next year. If this is what you get for Sonny Gray with money eaten, you should be getting better return for Brendan Donovan to make this look even like a more successful offseason.
He's Alex. That's T-Bone. I'm BK. Alex, I'm calling an audible. Coming up in about 15 minutes or so, we're hoping to be joined in studio by Jeremy Rutherford. He is going to be...
I haven't heard from him, so he might be in the air still.
He's going to be getting off the plane at some point. We're hoping to have him in studio around 11:30. If not, we will talk about the Blues coming up at 11:30. We want to hear from you. 314-399-9646. That's the Air Comfort Service text line to get involved in the show. YouTube chat is available at youtube.com/101ESPN STL. That is where 240 of your closest friends are hanging out over there talking over the St. Louis Cardinals. Coming up next. What does this move mean for the Cardinals' pitching plans for 2026? And are you gaining hope on what the return could be, Alex, for Brendan Donovan this offseason as well? We'll get into that next here on 101 ESPN.
Alex Ferrario with you to talk about my friends out of Classic Air Care. I'm sure you've seen the weather expectation for this week, and it's going to get down to the 30s, which means that HVAC system, that furnace, it's going to start working extra, which means if you haven't gotten it tuned up or if you haven't had it cleaned and gotten ready to go, and it might conk out on you at the worst time. And this is why you need to use the company that you can rely on, and that's Classic Air Care. They've been around since 1926, making people comfortable. I've been using them since 2016. My dad's been using them for the longest time since he's owned a home, and it's because of that reliability that Classic Air Care offers. You know, I've had this happen before to where it goes out at the worst time possible, and you're thinking, oh, geez, how am I going to get a hold of somebody right now? The best part about Classic Air Care, one, is that they've got 100 vans out on the road, which means they're going to be able to get back. They're going to get to you within 24 hours, but they're going to get back to you quick in terms of if you call their office to schedule. They're open 7 days a week. They have after-hour technicians available, so you don't have to worry about getting them out to your home. There's also a maintenance agreement that you can check out to where if twice a year they come out and they fine-tune it. Or if you're looking to purchase a new HVAC system, they'll throw in a free water heater that goes from now until December 5th. So call them today, schedule online, tell them Alex Ferrario sent you at Classic Air Care and ClassicAirCare.com.
Alongside Alex and T-Bone on BK. You want to talk about coaching search stuff or the Cardinals' latest update on what's going on
I would
here?
rather talk Blues after the loss over a coaching search update. I don't need another Planegate 24/7.
So we'll talk to Jeremy Rutherford, Blues Insider, coming up shortly here on BK and Ferrario. We'll talk to Mike McKenna, former NHL goalie, later on today as well. We want to hear from you throughout. 314-399-9646. That's the Air Comfort Service text line. Jeff Jones just tweeted this out. One other downstream note of this trade that seemed obvious. Source with knowledge of the Cardinals' plan says that Kyle Leahy is being considered a starter. He is part of the group that will enter the spring as a starting pitcher, and the expectation is he will win a spot in the rotation. That is important news because, Alex, it speaks to what this rotation is going to look like in 2026. And what it is going to look like is very, very young. Right now, your rotation, I would guess, is Libby, Palante, McGreevy, Fitz, and Leahy. The only player among that group that does not have options next year to go down to AAA if need be is Kyle Leahy. He's the only one that has to be in the major leagues in 2026. So if you started out the season and Richard Fitz was down at Memphis, so be it, man. Sorry, it sucks. He started a bunch of games with the Red Sox last year, but this is the way that the majors work. Sometimes you're the sixth man and you got to play the role that Michael McGreevy did a year ago.
I'm sure he's going to fit down there.
If Andre Palante has to go down to AAA to hang out and be your sixth starter, sorry, bro. Dims the brakes. And sometimes you've got to go down and be the guy that is going on that Memphis shuttle up and down. And if there's a doubleheader, you're coming up. If there's a spot start that needs to be taken, you're the guy for that spot. So that would be my guess. These 5 will be part of your rotation in some capacity. And I think you add one more. I think the plan, my guess would be, the plan this offseason is to add one more starter. I don't know who that will be. I don't know if it's coming via free agency and a bounce-back candidate like Dustin May. I don't know if that's potentially a guy that you get via trade for Brendan Donovan, for example. Maybe that is a true, like, legit number one dude
do you
want to lead your rotation.
Do you take a swing on somebody that could be here for the next 3 to 4 years that you say helps us compete now and when we're good?
I would like to see it. If we get to December 2nd, we're a week away from finding out with certainty what the Cardinals have to give up in the QO. If the Cardinals have to give up only their 3rd highest pick, which means that they received some amount of revenue sharing for last year because their revenues changed year over year, for the first time they're in that revenue sharing department. If that is the case for them, I would go sign one of those big-time starting pitchers on the market.
Yeah.
I would aim high. I would try to get a Dylan Cease. You know, will they do that? I would be skeptical, but they've got the money now to be able to do it. And they don't have to give up as much of an asset as they did previously.
If this was any other regime, if this was the Mo regime, I probably would be very skeptical. I'd be laughing at you saying that. But now, after seeing a move like this, where you jump the market with Sonny Gray, I'm optimistic that Chaim may do something like that, because everything that you went through, all of these guys, these are good pieces. You're still in the position of developing these younger pitchers, whether it's the Quinn Matthews or the Brandon Clark that you just acquired, Liam Doyle. They're going to get there at some point. But sometimes you go get a placeholder that could beat somebody at the top of your rotation that can go out there and just every 5th day go out there and perform for you. Whether that's Dylan Cease, I mentioned the guy that T-Bone's brought up, this Ime coming over from Japan, I believe. There's somebody that's got upside in terms of, I think he's 26, 27, but he's also somebody that's there for the long haul. That is my hope. Now that you've offset this with Sonny Gray, and look, you're building for the future. We all understand that. But maybe go out there and take a swing for somebody that helps you now to at least be competitive. And then when you're ready to actually compete, he's still a part of that rotation.
Yeah, they're going to have to add somebody else into this mix, because right now they are just too young in this rotation. And that is not even me saying like of hopes of like winning. It's just, to me, it's too much stress on these 5 to be in your rotation. So I think they bring in somebody. My gut leans toward they're going to go more towards the pillow route deal. I think they will go more towards the Dustin May 1-year type of contract. You put him in this rotation, and then you have Fitz and Palante kind of fight it out to figure out who's going to be that 5th starter. Well, and Leahy, I guess. You could add Leahy into the mix as well. Have those 3 kind of figure out who rounds out the back 5 of the rotation, and Dustin May or whoever it is that you bring in on a pillow deal is the guy that you look at and say, okay, he's the one that we brought in. We potentially flip him at the deadline. We bring in more assets for this roster.
I think it all depends on if you're looking for certainty or upside. Like I wonder how the Cardinals feel about their innings for 2026 right now. Because if you're looking for innings, if you feel like you have an innings deficit right now, you can't go sign Dustin May. Because you can't count on him for any amount of innings. Like anything more than 50 innings would be a surprise from Dustin May at this point. It'd be a nice surprise, a pleasant surprise. We'd all love to see it, and that would get you a pretty good prospect probably at the deadline, because it means he's most likely figured it out. But the odds are heavily against that. So it really comes down. How are you feeling about Libby, Palante, McGreevy, Fitz, Kyle Leahy, those 5 guys giving you the innings that are necessary if they have to start the majority of the games in 2026 for you? I can't answer that for them.
See, I feel like I can. I feel like it's impossible to look at that rotation and feel good about their innings. I mean,
I think they'd be fine. I think
I kind of feel the same way. I think they could get through it with those 5.
I think it's young, and the reason I said like you probably need to still go out and add somebody is just because this rotation is so young. So you probably want somebody to be there as like the guiding grandfather that helps them figure out how to be a big leaguer. But like McGreevy's a guy that I feel like you could write in pen already as like 180 innings for next year. Libby already got to 151 and 2/3 last year. Palante somehow got to 162.
I mean, people underestimate how much of an innings eater Andre Palante is. He fills that role for you. It's not, you don't love it. You don't love the innings you're getting, but he consistently posts, man. He gives you 30 starts a year if you want it.
Yeah, so like you've got that. So like
if you want it or not.
Yeah,
Tebow just made the joke in the last segment about it.
Well, because I didn't even realize he got to 162. Because like I remember when he is bad, like it is ugly to watch, and he is out of games early. But when he's like okay, he does do kind of the McGreevy route where it's like 6 or 7 innings.
We saw that last year when he's okay. It's like what, every third or fourth start?
Yeah, but like when you're not.
That's taxing on your bullpen.
I'm going to say the thing that nobody wants to hear, but when you're not trying to win in 2026, that's fine.
Exactly.
Like him doing
I'm
that,
with you.
I don't think you're at an innings deficit. Now, the one thing I would worry about is Leahy and Fitz there to round out the bottom part of that rotation, because I just don't know what you can expect from those two, especially Leahy being converted to a starter. I don't think it's reasonable to expect he's going to get to 150 like Liberatore did. So that's where you probably do need to bring in somebody. But I think it could be a Dustin May type to where it is, okay, if we could get like 100 innings, I think you would be fine to make up that deficit.
I think you need another guy who certainly can give you 150 innings, and you're not worried about having to pull him every other start in the third inning. And like the three guys you mentioned on the back half, I don't feel comfortable with. I'm fine with Liberatore. I'm fine with McGreevy. I think you need one more that I'm comfortable he's going to get 150 plus.
See, the problem is where are you getting that?
Well, that's why I think you're aggressive. And
I think that would be like Lucas Giolito could give you that. But you're probably signing him to a 3 to 4 year deal. Yeah. So are you wanting that when you're good
I'd rather go the Dylan Cease route and have something now that's at the top of that rotation. And then if it's a 4-year deal, you hope that in 2 years you've got this thing back on track.
That's what I would avoid the middle tier.
Yeah.
Like I'm good with T-Bone's idea of going the Dustin May route. I'm good with the Ryan Helsley route now. I'm fine with that, honestly. I would be fine with them going the Dylan Cease route, aiming high, getting somebody that you think can lead this rotation. He leads you into the future, and eventually it's, Dylan Cease. Hopefully Brandon Clark now is a part of this thing. Liam Doyle is a part of it. Michael McGreevy and Quinn Matthews. Like those are your 5 dudes, and then eventually like a Franklin kid that is now in your system as well. And maybe eventually you get a little something more out of Tink Hintz. Like these are the kinds of pitchers that you start adding into the mix, and you have 10 to 12 of them that you can bet on. And so starting in 2028, all right, we're looking pretty good here. But for like next year, I would go the barbell approach of it's either a really good starter or a guy that I'm just aiming high on. Somebody on the text line, T-Bone, real quickly here, asked the question, guys, where does Brandon Clark fit into the Cardinals prospect list? So over on Fangraphs, based upon their current rankings, he would rank ahead of Tink Hintz and behind Quinn Matthews on their reports.
So that's what, 3?
In terms of their pitcher rankings, they would have him behind
Doyle and Matthews.
I think it's 3.
Yes, Doyle and Matthews. Yeah. But he's like right behind Matthews. They have him as a top 100 prospect. They've got Brandon Clark as the 86th best prospect in baseball, and they've got Quinn Matthews at 83.
All hail Chaim, man. You got a top 100 prospect for Sonny Gray?
At least based upon Fangraphs reports, right? Like that's not everybody across the industry, but Fangraphs
Jim
really
Bowden,
likes
who's
this.
the biggest skeptic, says it's a win-win for both sides.
I think it might be. I like this move for Boston.
I think it's a huge overpay for Boston.
They basically
got $20 million for a 1-year deal.
Exactly. You're
getting a $20 million pitcher
on what is less than the qualifying offer on a 1-year deal.
Yeah, I get it. I don't know that I would want to give up a top 100 prospect for a rental, even at $15 million.
Maybe,
that's where I think it's an overpay.
They have a loaded farm system. They don't need Brandon Clark. Like Clark's probably not going to see the majors for a couple of years.
But if I'm going to put
ETA
Clark
is like 28,
if I'm going to put Clark in a trade and I'm going out there and I am going to get something of significance for my rotation, I would have been approaching the Tigers and seeing if I could have lured Skubal to Boston.
You're not getting this. Like
what?
For Skubal, you're talking about like huge.
I know, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Like if I'm putting in Clark in a package for something, I'm putting it in a huge package.
Clark
and
is
getting
the
a huge
worst
swing.
piece in that package.
Yeah, Clark would be like the 5th piece in a deal.
That's fine. Skubal is a much better piece to acquire.
Yeah, but you're not going to deplete your pipeline for that guy.
Boston overpaid for Sonny Gray. Don't get me wrong. I'm happy about it because I think it's a huge win for the Cardinals.
For the money that was included on the Cardinals side of things, this is the price. If the Cardinals weren't going to include any money, all you get back in return is Dick Fitz. And apparently he does go by Dick, by the way.
You can't steal my joke and put it on the air.
No, yours was very different, and we're not going there.
You're sucked.
If
Everybody is saying it right now.
the $20 million is Brandon Clark. Clark is what allows you to get Sonny at 20. Not including him means you get Sonny at 40. Your choice. They are right up against the CBT threshold, though. And if the Red Sox had to pay the $40 million freight for Sonny Gray, they can't sign anybody else this offseason. So they had to do this in order to get their starter. And if they wanted to go to the free agent market, they were paying more than this for any of the top level guys. If they want to go get Skubal, what's Skubal projected to make this year? Right around that? 20?
Yeah, 15 to 20. Basically what Sonny's on.
So you're paying that plus giving up a boatload of prospects or guys that are already at the major league level, and then you got to go replace them as well. I think this is a really good deal for them. I think it's really smart personally.
Yeah, I think it's a bad trade from the Boston Red Sox perspective. I think it's just too much to give up for Sonny Gray. And I understand, yes, I understand they had to put in this prospect to get $20 million aid on it. I don't know how much they've really upgraded their rotation. Gray is a good pitcher. I don't know how much success he's going to have in Boston. We'll see how Boston media enjoys his rain delays. I'm tired, I need to leave after 5 innings.
Well, it won't be as hot in Boston. Humidity is not as much of a problem.
I don't know that this is the move I would make. If Boston was searching for a number 2, yes, Gray would slot in as a 2, but if I had to give up my 5th best prospect, a top 100 prospect overall.
Skubal wasn't an option.
Yeah, I would have gone to the market and signed someone then. And I understand, they're trying to avoid the CBT.
At that point.
Yeah, I don't know. I think a lot of the names on the market, I would rather have Cease on a 6-year deal over Gray for 1. I'd rather have Valdez on a 5 or 6-year deal over Gray for 1. I think this market is so deep. That's why I was surprised that the Cardinals were able to jump ahead of it.
A second-round pick as well.
Yeah, I'm fine.
Are you
fine with that?
Okay.
I'd give up a second-round pick over my 5th overall prospect.
I would not. I think that second-round pick is likely to be a better prospect than the guy that they have right now.
Yeah, but I get a pitcher that I think is better than Gray for more years.
Yeah, I'm taking a chance
I don't know if
on
that's a good thing. I think well, we're going into the Red Sox side of things here, but their perspective on it is clearly we would rather have the guy on a short-term deal. We'd rather build for right now and have the 1-year deal. They will also probably get a comp pick for Sonny next year as well. It's there's just a lot of stuff that goes into this. But anyways, the Cardinals get Brandon Clark in return. That's the big prize. The 86th overall prospect, according to Fangraphs list. They think he's got some serious high upside, also high risk. He may never reach the big leagues, and if he does, there's a pretty decent shot it's as a reliever as opposed to as a starter. But he's got legit tools, man. This is a 100-mile-an-hour fastball, a big-time breaking ball, the kind of stuff that the Cardinals have been craving in their system for years. And now you have a 1, 2, 3 in your farm system right now, pitching-wise, of Liam Doyle, Quinn Matthews, Brandon Clark. That's not to mention Tink Hence.
It's a lot of lefties.
Not to mention Franklin either. You've got more stuff in your minor leagues. It's TK Roby, who's going through the injuries right now. Cooper Jerpy, who they just added to their 40-man, who also has injuries. I didn't mention the other guy that they just added to their 40-man roster either, and
Bryson
Motts. Ishan Henderson had a really good year this past year at Double-A. I think he was their Double-A pitcher of the year or whatever. They're starting to add arms. And this is what they've been missing for a really
Now go get that superstar bat.
You could do that as well. Coming up next.
I lied. They got the 16-year-old Aaron Judge. We talked about that last week.
We got 2 options, Alex. Dealer's choice.
JR's on his way.
Jeremy Rutherford was one of those options, and he's going to join us next year.
That one.
ESPN.
Tanner Hendrickson here with the Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. The big news today here in St. Louis, the St. Louis Cardinals have traded starting pitcher Sonny Gray and $20 million to the Boston Red Sox in exchange for a prospect left-handed pitcher Brandon Clark and a starter Richard Fitz, who made 10 starts with the Boston Red Sox last year. And last night, the Blues ended up falling to the New York Rangers in their contest 3-2. They are off today. They'll be back in action tomorrow night when they visit the New Jersey Devils. We'll have pregame coverage starting at 5 o'clock with Alex Ferrario. Puck drop at 6 o'clock with Chris Kerber and Joey Vitale. The Sports Center update was run by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. See them at Londoff.com. Chevy, together we drive. Are you kidding me?
All right, Blues lose again last night. Jeremy Rutherford was in attendance to see it live alongside Alex and T-Bone on BK. It's BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN.
And then got on a plane right after and said, I'm out. I'm going home.
Fun week in New York, JR?
Toronto, Philadelphia, New York.
What, 2 days in New York?
Yeah, a couple days. No, it was a good trip. And wrote some stories about the Blues practice behind the scenes and a little bit yesterday with Logan Mailloux. I'm sure we can get into him. And, I just feel like it's the team right now is similar to what we've seen. There's some good bursts and there's some good plays. There's some good sequences, but they're having a tough time putting it all together right now.
So what do you make of a team that is consistently putting together points but not winning very many games? Where are we at right now, 10,000-foot view perspective?
Yeah, they got to get 2 points. And Jim Montgomery said that a couple days ago. Like, let's just look at last night's game. They had opportunities to stretch the lead to 2-0. I know they didn't have a ton of shots, but they did put together some situations. And I think that when you got to the third period, and let's go to the pulled goalie situation. I mean, there's a whiff in a scoring area there at the front of the net. Dylan Holloway, you got a chance to tie that game. And Jim Montgomery, after the game, he said, look, we've got to come back in some games. We can't just try and, come up short. We need 2 points. We got to come back. And so, I just think that's where this team is at right now.
Maybe it's just the frustration of the season being the way it is, but I think I hit a breaking point in postgame last night, hearing Dylan Holloway and Colton Parayko.
Your 15th breaking point of the season.
I've had a lot of them so far. It's just a rough year altogether. But it's hard to sit there and listen to the players continue to say, we're close to breaking through, when you're seeing the games to where one game they look fine, then the next 3 they don't look fine. It's hard to believe them anymore when they say, well, we're close to breaking through, when Jim Montgomery, once again, is questioning their intensity at the start of a hockey game.
Yeah, and I agree with you. And I think that's kind of where we're going to be at for the foreseeable future. In terms of breaking through. Like, what's going to be breaking through for this team? Are they going to win 8 in a row? Like, I know we said that going into the 12-game winning streak last year, and it actually happened. But I don't think you can watch this team play, even when fully healthy now with Jake Neighbors back, and say this is a team that's capable of fixing a lot of the glaring holes that it has right now. And number one being intensity. And so I think that what you're hearing the players say, and Alex, believe me, 2 of us, we've heard it a lot, is that we're getting close. We can see it. I don't want to take anything away from them, but I think that you have to fix a lot of things to get to the point that they're talking about.
Jeremy Rutherford's our guest here in studio on 101 ESPN. You can read his work. As he mentioned, he's had a few pieces over the last couple of days, one on Logan Mailloux, another one behind the scenes on why the Blues were running the drills that they were. You can find all of that on Twitter at JP Rutherford or over at The Athletic. JR, let's talk a little bit about Logan Mailloux. What did you see from him last night? The overall numbers, of course, he's on the ice for a couple of goals against. I don't know how much of that was his fault specifically, but what did you see from him yesterday?
Well, I liked him, and it begins in the morning skate. Like, I walked into Madison Square Garden. I figured I'd probably be writing about Mailloux. He's back from Springfield. Everybody said that he went down there, played well, 2 goals in the 5 games. And he just looked out on the ice, and I'm not trying to be corny with this, but he just he was moving around. He looked like a player. He looked like a guy who was, excited to be there, excited for the puck to drop, last night. And then when the game started, 1 minute in, he goes out for his first shift, and he's physical. He's in the corner. He's making plays. He makes that pass up ice to Dvorsky. You could just tell he was into the game right away. And you don't put a ton into social media in terms of the reaction that you get, but there were a lot of people saying that he looked composed. He looked confident. And so, listening to Jim Montgomery, he said the same thing last night. So, hey, it's one game, but I felt like he played pretty well. And, all this is to me is a path to get better this season for him. And you look at those 2 goals, that first one, he's on the ice for 219.
Mm-hmm.
I realize he got a little flat-footed there when they put the puck between him and Fowler, and they scored the goal. But otherwise, I thought he looked pretty good. That second goal, he's got his guy. Fowler and Walker kind of go for the same guy behind the net, and then the puck's in the back of the net.
Not the first time we've seen that.
Yeah. So I thought overall he looked good. And I think that they're going to keep him in the lineup.
Yeah, that first goal, I was texting with them because I looked at it as like, yeah, he's flat-footed and gets caught, but how the heck do you let a pass go through the middle of the ice with 2 forwards right there? And that was a frustrating part for me watching that game, was like that goal, the one that Trocheck scored, there was no ability to try and stop that play. And I don't know if you call it brain farts or you just call it just bad puck management, but it just feels like the top guys at times are sleepwalking through certain points of the hockey game.
Yeah, and I think Joey brought it up on the broadcast, Alex. You might remember. He said that was second or third time that the Rangers, were controlling the puck.
Yeah, they got booed because it kept coming out.
Yeah, they cleared it out of the zone on themselves. And then, the puck's at center ice, and he's able to put it through Snuggerud and Robert Thomas, talking about Adam Fox, the defenseman. And those two, because they're forwards, they recently changed. So they were only on the ice for about 34 seconds, I think it was. And the defenseman 2+ minutes. So, not trying to take any blame away from the defenseman. It's just that that goal, I don't think Logan Mailloux had you don't point to him and say, see, there we go again.
Yeah.
The old school hockey thing is kind of like Major League Baseball. You get to Flag Day-ish, and you have a pretty good idea of what your team is. You kind of look at the standings for the first time, and you can look around and see where you're at. For the NHL, I've always heard Thanksgiving. You look at the standings at Thanksgiving, and you've got a pretty good idea of where you stand relative to your peers. Well, we're 2 days away. Blues have one more game before we get there. They're at a minimum going to be below 500 at Thanksgiving. At what point do you start looking around and saying, this team just doesn't have it, and maybe Army's going to have to make some moves sooner rather than later?
First of all, 2 days away from Thanksgiving, boys. Woo!
Jared doesn't even know what day it is, what month it is after he comes home.
What day it is. So, here's the way I look at it, BK, is I wrote a piece 2 weeks ago where I said, hey, look, this is not a great team. This team just doesn't play great hockey. So it's hard for me to come back a week or two later and say that, hey, I think even if it's 2 weeks past Thanksgiving, I think there's still plenty of time. But that said, I'm guilty of it, just like probably a lot of people in St. Louis, 2018, 19, and then even last year, post Four Nations. And last year might even be a little bit, save for the Stanley Cup, a little bit more incredible in terms of a 12-game winning streak, being 8 points back of a playoff spot at that point of the year, and finding their way into the playoffs. So I'm not saying it's impossible. I just go back to the previous answer where you talk about, whether it be the PK, whether it be the goaltending, whether it be, the line combinations. You can't get set on a group of guys that, in December, are those issues going to be cleared up and this team's going to be able to jump 5 teams in the standings and make up those points? So the point total isn't what's scary at Thanksgiving. It's the number of teams and the issues that you have.
Do you, and I know this is hypothetical, but would you anticipate Doug Armstrong doing some type of action to try and fix because we haven't even heard from him yet. And I mean, we've seen some of these other bottom feeders, whether it was Toronto or the New York Rangers or Vancouver or Nashville, or GMs have come out and basically said, like, this is unacceptable and we need to fix it. We haven't heard from Doug Armstrong yet.
Yeah, it's a great point. And I've wondered myself, is today the day that he's going to come out and kind of have a State of the Union. I think a couple things. One is he did it a couple times and it didn't necessarily work, right? Even though they made the playoffs last year, that was, well after his State of the Union in November. And also, I think, guys, we can read into it a little bit that it says that he's probably working behind the scenes, trying to make something happen. What would be the reason in coming out and talking today if, he wants to make a move here in a week or two or what have you? So, I think that they are exploring options, and you phrased it maybe like trying to help the team. I don't know that it'll be that. I think that it may be a little bit of a dismantling in terms of moving some parts. I mean, Braden Shen's name has popped up a lot. New Jersey and Minnesota are teams that are in that conversation for Braden Shen. I'm not saying you can't trade Braden Shen and then try to improve your team and get better this year, but I doubt that's the case. And then we continue to hear Jordan Kyra's name brought up in rumors. So I think, BK, going back to your question about Thanksgiving, if we get to Thanksgiving in a couple weeks past that, and then other teams are maybe more willing to make moves like that, I just don't think other teams are there at this point.
JR, appreciate you stopping in on your way home, coming off of a very busy week out of New York, Toronto, Philly, all of that. So we appreciate the time as always, man. We'll talk with you again soon.
8-day trip for me and 8 pair of underwear, so it's time to get home.
Only
guys.
Only 8.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well done by you.
Yeah, incredible,
Well done by
man.
you.
No accidents at all, which is a good thing.
You, JR.
Yeah.
As
See you,
Jeremy
boys.
Rutherford, you can find his great work over at The Athletic. You can follow him on Twitter at JP Rutherford as well. Coming up in 15 minutes, we'll be joined by Mike McKenna. He's a former NHL goalie. He'll give us his perspective on the St. Louis Blues. But coming up next, 314-399-9646. That's the Air Comfort Service text line for questions and answers here on BK and Ferrario. Oh, it's feast week over on the Underdog app,
baby.
Alex. That means you open up your app every single day. They've got some promos over there for you. It all begins in earnest starting tomorrow over on Underdog. You can make picks and win money right here in the state of Missouri. That's what I'm doing this week for Thursday, Alex. On Thanksgiving Day, you got the Chiefs versus the Cowboys. What might be the highest rated football game in the history of the NFL. I like George Pickens to go higher on his longest reception. I like Kareem Hunt to score a touchdown. I like Rashee Rice to go higher on his receiving yards. I've got a $5 bonus entry. It's 5-1. Love those odds over on the Underdog
BK
app.
just told you exactly what you need to do. Open up that Underdog app and take advantage of Feast Week as we head into more NFL action this week. Download the Underdog app today and use promo code BKO to score $100 in bonus entries when you play your first $5. Again, that's promo code BKO. Underdog, make plays, win money. Must be 18 plus and present in Missouri. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play and get terms _DFS_.html for details. Concerned with your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org.
Alongside Alex and T-Bone on BK, 314-399-9646. That's the Air Comfort Service text line for questions and answers. If you guys have any questions, go ahead and get them in right now on the Air Comfort Service text line. This one comes from the 314. Guys, what would your pitch be on why fans should even watch the Cardinals in 2026? Why would you buy tickets if the Cardinals are not going to try? I think for a similar reason that you watched the Blues over the last couple of seasons, it's that you want to see if the youth can figure it out. And I'm not telling you that you have to do that. If you are disinterested in what they're doing now, I totally get it from a day-to-day perspective. I think in the long term, it is the right move. I think it's necessary for them. But, man, I'm not telling you this is going to be super fun to watch every day. It's probably not going to be. There will be a lot of days, maybe more days, where it's bad than that it's good.
Yeah. I mean, the hard part, too, is it's really like the Blues from like 2 or 3 years ago, to where the young talent that you were promising, a lot of that not even is going to be performing at the top level. Like, they're going to be, you know, Snuggerud was still in college. Dvorsky was still in juniors.
Position player-wise, you'll be good.
Yeah,
it's the pitching that's still going to be down in the minor leagues.
And barring some type of trade to where maybe it expedites this. I mean, look, it's not an easy selling point, but I think if there's a selling point, it's what BK said. It's the youth movement and it's the aggressiveness of Chaim Bloom, that hopefully the youth movement can turn into guys being competitive, and Chaim makes some moves in the near future, not distant future.
Yeah, I think it would be, you sell it on, hey, look, we think we've got this young athletic club in the position player side, because you're right. It's going to be hard to sell anything with their pitching staff. But you look at it and you go, hey, Mason Wynn's a fun, exciting player to watch. Ivan Herrera could be a real exciting bat to watch. And if Walker pieces it together, now call me skeptical, but if he does, I mean, he's got all the tools in the world that could make him an exciting piece to watch as well.
From the 801, Alex, have the Blues seen enough of Broberg to sign him to an extension, or do you think they're still waiting?
No, they've seen enough. It's just a matter of, does Broberg want to sign the extension, which sometimes in the middle of season, guys don't even want to discuss it. I mean, he's the Blues control, so it's not like they're going to lose out on it. Plus, he's got an agent that likes to take his guys up to free agency. So I don't know if his appetite is signing a long-term extension. My only concern on that is, if this team is bad this year, how much does Broberg see the team struggling and say, ooh, do I want to sign a contract extension?
From the 636, BK, can you go over your underdog picks again for Turkey Day? Sure. George Pickens higher on his longest reception. Kareem Hunt to score a touchdown. Rasheed Rice higher than 74.5 receiving yards. Put those three picks together over on the Underdog app. I've got a $5 bonus interest for it. It's about 5-1 odds.
Okay, so what they did was wrote down lower on Pickens' longest reception, lower on this, lower on that.
314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line for questions and answers. From the 573, guys, I'm planning a road trip this summer with my sons. They're aged 22 to 9, so a big swing between the youngest and the oldest, to see a new stadium this summer. I'm trying to decide, should I go to Pittsburgh, Atlanta, Baltimore, or Arlington? Any recommendations? T-Bone, I think you've been to a few of these stadiums. Of those four, I've only been to Pittsburgh, and I can't give it a higher recommendation. It's awesome. Yeah. The stadium there is fantastic, so I I would definitely recommend going there. That's the only one of those 4 that I've been to, though, T-Bone. Out of Pittsburgh, Atlanta, Baltimore, Arlington, do you have one that you would specifically recommend?
I would recommend Baltimore. I like Pittsburgh too, but I think Baltimore's a cooler stadium to see because it's got the brick wall that's behind it. The team could be pretty good as well if you're looking for a game that could end up being entertaining. I would say Baltimore. My power ranking, that would be Baltimore, Pittsburgh, Arlington. And then I just haven't been to Atlanta. That's the one I haven't been to.
314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line. Real quick from the 314, we've talked about this in the first 30 minutes of the show before we had Jeremy Rutherford on. So if you want a full extended version of this, check out the podcast page after the show today or stay tuned for the 12 o'clock hour. Guys, what are your bottom line thoughts about the Sonny Gray trade? Alex, if you had to give your elevator pitch on the Sonny trade, what would it be?
I love it. Chaim Bloom is aggressive. Chaim Bloom is jumping the market, and Chaim Bloom is looking for the best talent possible, and ownership is willing to back him by eating some of that money to get the best return.
Yeah, I like the fact of what they did because they shot for upside, and they got a pitcher that helps them in the short term as well, I should say.
That's what I would go with. Like they accomplished 2 goals with one trade. And it's because they were willing to eat the $20 million. Whether you love this trade from Boston's perspective or not, from the Cardinals' perspective, their willingness to eat that $20 million is what got them the big-time upside prospect. If you just traded Sonny Gray at $40 million, basically, for 2025, you probably just get Richard Fitz, which is fine, but that's a classic Cardinals move. That is what they have done in the past, where they get rid of the money off of the books, and in return, they get a controllable starter that doesn't have a whole lot of upside. What feels new and different is the willingness to get creative. They threw in $20 million in cash to more or less buy a prospect. And they didn't just get any prospect, Alex. They got to do the throws 100 with big-time breaking ball stuff and the ability to miss bats. That's the kind of thing they've been lacking. So credit to Chaim Bloom. It's a really intriguing first big swing of a move for him as the Cardinals president of baseball operations. Coming up in 15 minutes, we'll get into Bet It or Forget It. 314-399-9646. That's the Air Comfort Service text line for Bet It or Forget It. But next, Mike McKenna, the former NHL goalie, joins us here on 101 ESPN. Alongside Alex and T-Bone on BK, it's BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN. Coming up here in just a little bit, we'll give you a statement from Chaim Bloom on the Sonny Gray trade. We'll get to that here in just a moment. But first, we go out to the Callier and Thompson hotline to be joined by Mike McKenna, the former NHL goalie. He joins us each and every week on behalf of the fine folks over at Macadoodles. We'll talk to him about what they have over there going into your Thanksgiving festivities here momentarily. Mike, appreciate the time as always, man. Blues played last night. You're on today. That means the Blues did not win. How you doing, my friend?
It might be time to stop doing this, fellas.
No. We just need to have you on the day of a hockey game. There you go.
I think you're right. Like, honestly, man, I just don't want this to keep happening. Like, if we could have just been on, Sunday, 2-1 win, beat the Islanders, a couple early goals, Benner plays great. I would have liked that an awful lot. So, I don't know, man. Here we go. Here we go again. Another Blues loss, 1-goal game, but we're here and it's almost Thanksgiving, so we got a lot of bigger things in life to be thankful for.
Absolutely, but Mike, I don't even know what to say anymore. Like, you got your head coach questioning the intensity that the team has against a team that had lost 4 in a row and only won once on home ice in the New York Rangers. You had the players saying afterwards that they feel like they're close, but the inconsistency is just there. Does it feel to you like it's just a jumbled mess right now with this team?
Well, it's part of it. I mean, even look at the lines. They've just been in a blender because Monty doesn't have anything he can really go to and know exactly what he's going to get. Fourth line is set, but best teams in the NHL typically roll out the same lineup with a couple of changes here and there if somebody's hurt, and that's just not what we're seeing right now for the Blues. And it's just kind of a broken record with why aren't they winning? Well, who's scoring for the Blues? Who isn't scoring? I mean, it was great to see Holloway get on the board. Nice shot, great puck movement leading up to it. They look like the Globetrotters before that play. So there are signs. I can see why in the locker room the players feel like they're close because for a week and a half now, even 2 weeks. Let's go back 2 weeks. Like every game except one has been a 1-goal game. You're right there. You really are. But what's it going to take to get over that edge right now? And I know that's what the players are feeling. And Monty's digging deep to find anything that can get them going. And ultimately, he's right, though. They were flat for every bit of a period and a half, almost 2 periods last night.
I mean, a big boost would be scoring more goals. I know that's a hot take, but
that's easy.
They've scored more than 3 goals once since October 13th. We've played 6 weeks of hockey since then, so that's not a great sign for them. Mike, does this offense have more to give, in your opinion?
Yes, it does. There's players who aren't producing. And again, it's kind of broken record stuff. I think you can really look at Holloway's goal to see what the Blues can do if they are willing to shoot the puck from the top of the circle or from the blue line and not hang on to it forever and try to get to the front of the net and go back door. And, that's just not how you're going to win hockey games. You have to manufacture goals. The Blues are not manufacturing goals right now. They're occasionally something great happens. They can get pucks to the net. A couple of days ago, we were talking about Justin Falk's 2 goals. How did they go in? Just by getting it to the net. Simple hockey. You hear it from the players. Yeah, we just need to get more shots on net. Yeah, no kidding. Put the puck on the net, guys. Like that's where, as a fan, you hate hearing that because you just want to say it's so obvious. It's like you go to a game and hear everybody in the stands screaming shoot, and the players, we always make fun of that. Like we're literally in the locker room laughing at fans saying shoot. But in this case, I think the fans are right. Shoot the puck, go to the net, play simple hockey. Because if you're not going to score gorgeous goals, you got to manufacture some, and those happen right in front of the crease.
What forces a player to get into that mold to where they're looking like, because not even on the power play, at even strength, a third period, you've got guys that are just looking to pass the puck as much as possible. Is it an individual decision that just are in their own head? Is it a team mindset that feels like, well, they can't score goals, so they need to wait for the perfect goal?
Well, it's tough to say because there was a time frame for teams who were always trying to look for puck possession, look for passes going across the Royal Road, they call it. That's the line down the middle of the ice, basically, trying to improve chances of scoring goals from what statistics had shown you. But really in a game, you're not thinking about statistics. You're going with what your strengths have been. And, how many guys on this team are just pure killers? Like, how many pure goal scorers are on this team right now? And I'm looking up and down that lineup just to try to fact check myself here. And I don't see a pure goal scorer on this club other than Holloway looked like it last year at times. He's not a sniper, but he can snipe. And Snuggerud is who we're hoping is going to turn into that along with Dvorsky. But that's two hopers. It's a Jordan Kyrou who pretty much scores on the rush, and a Robert Thomas who kind of does everything great, but isn't a pure sniper either. Yeah. Right. So where are your killers? And that's got to be the message. You get the puck on your blade, put it in the net. End of story, shoot it, see what happens.
Can you change the mindset of a player who's just in his head? Like Pavel Buchnevich is one, in my opinion, that just always looks to pass the puck. Robert Thomas always looks to pass the puck. Can you change those players' decisions on the ice?
Well, you put them in the stands, what happens? And does it really change anything? It doesn't seem to have. It's tough because you see Buchnevich get the puck in good places, and I think his is a confidence thing, truly. Like, he's gotten a fair amount of chances right in front of the crease in the low slot that he's put it right in the goalie's chest, or it's just missed the net. He went through this last season as well before he finally started to score again. And it's almost like if he can't score from these grade A amazing areas, why is he going to think internally that he can score from lesser areas further away from the net? And the funny part is, like, you got to look at the video and realize the best scoring areas really as a pure shooter are about the top of the circle or so in the NHL. Like, that's where you have space on the goalie. That's when you have time to release the puck where you want. And it's like Buchnevich is just not realizing his best opportunities from a little further away if he's in motion to just get the puck there and crash at it. So I think you can flip it, but guys, we're 200 and something days since he scored a 5-on-5 goal. Like, that confidence is not there at all. Like, he's got to find a way with it somehow.
It's how many days?
200 plus, I believe I saw the stat that it had been since a 5-on-5 goal.
Yeah, it's not since the last game of the regular season. I think he did score one in the postseason, but it's the last game of the regular season, I think, that was the last time he scored.
That's a long time.
It is, Brandon.
It's been a long time.
Thank you for that one.
Did you know Justin Falk is currently tied for the team lead both in goals and points?
Yeah. And we're looking at Falk like he's had a down year. So, I don't know, guys. Can we flip this and just say Joel Hofer played great? I'd really like to do that.
No, Mike, he didn't make the big save, right? The goalies are terrible.
Goalies have been really good, Mike, for like 3 weeks. I mean, in the month of November, they haven't been the problem at all. Well, outside of the Washington game.
I mean, you got a team that gets a 4-minute power play and they can't score when they have to. They get a junker at the end. Way to go. That's great. But it's not enough. And the funny part is the power play has been good for the team. It really has been one of the better parts of it. But I still think there's more to give on the power play, too, by getting shots through. So the goalies have been up to the task. I mean, I didn't see anything from Hofer that I thought was poor last night. I did see D abandon the front of the net on him a couple times and be flat-foot, and that's tough because, God, you hate to put it on one person, but Mailloux was -2, and it wasn't just like -2. I mean, he chased a player clear to the top of the circle and left the front of the net and then was flat-foot at the blue line. And that's not minor mistakes. Like, that cost the game. There's no way around it. So, yeah, you can't learn on the fly in the NHL, and that's kind of what's happening a bit.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you. That's what me and T-Bone were saying to Alex last night. He completely disagrees.
Yeah, I completely disagree on that first goal because Robert Thomas, that pass right up the gut of the ice, Mike, just Robert Thomas watches Adam Fox just put it right under the stick of that Brodzinski. And, I mean, Mailloux's flat-footed is 2 minutes and 19 seconds. They don't put it in late.
Fowler was also out there for 2 minutes and 30 seconds, I think. And he was able to try to defend one of them. Mailloux made zero effort.
And if Mailloux tries to defend that one, the forwards aren't back, and the guy that was on his right is going to go to the front of the net like Trocheck.
Make an effort.
That puck should have been killed at the middle of the ice.
Yeah, I mean, that's the problem, though, is everybody's watching it, and there's no motion at all. And you can't be flat-foot against a team that's going to bury you through the neutral zone like that. And so that's tough to see. As a goalie, when you see the front of the net get abandoned and watch people just play squirrel hockey and start chasing people around for no reason when you're not playing man-on-man defense in your zone, that's just not acceptable, and it burns you up as a goalie. It really does. Like, you're just asking for some support in front of your net, and when there's none there, you're just shaking your head going, man, I make all these saves. I finally turned the corner myself, and here we go with something that we can control and avoid.
All right, Mike. Well, tomorrow night, the Blues play. I might need a little something to drink while I'm watching that game. And Thursday, I'm getting together with all of the family. We're all coming together. This is our annual tradition. I go out to Macadoodles, get whatever we need for that Thanksgiving, and then we all are able to enjoy it together. So if others are going to get together over the next couple of days, what can they expect when they walk through the door at Macadoodles?
Well, here's the first thing. We're open 9 to 9 today, and then tomorrow we'll also be open 9 to 9. And even on Thanksgiving, we are open until 3 o'clock Thanksgiving Day. If you're looking to get a couple bottles of wine or a bottle of bourbon to share with your family, we will be here until 3 o'clock at the corner of Bryan and Frizy Road, just north of the Page Extension. We are also, if you want to have an alternative type of Thanksgiving, we're the #1 THC drink retailer in St. Charles County. Our selection is wide and massive on that. Come see us. I know it's kind of undercover, but we do have it. And I tell you what, last week was pretty cool. I told the people of the world here in St. Louis that the first person to walk through Macadoodles, ring the bell and say Spumoni could have an E.H. Taylor small batch. Guys, it took less than 3 minutes.
That's amazing. That's awesome.
It was incredible. So this week, oh, and by the way, we just got 10 cases of Jack Daniel's Heritage Toasted Barrel. Just showed up, so come grab that today.
What's our keyword? What's the buzzword, Mike?
The first person through the doors at Macadoodles today that rings the bell and says the word magnanimous.
Oh, my gosh.
So everybody can hear it, can have a bottle of Blanton's at the MSRB cars.
I was about to say, you're just giving it away? I'll be there in 15.
We're not giving it. You cannot give away alcohol legally in this state, or any state for that matter. But for the MSRP price, you can have a bottle of Blanton's. If you walk through that door, ring that bell, say the word magnanimous, come get your bottle, and then be ready for Black Friday when we roll out the Bourbon County from Goose Island. All those barrel-aged beers will be here on Friday morning. We're ready for you.
I hate to break it to you, BK. You ain't making it in 15 minutes. Someone's going to beat you there.
30, but we'll give that to one of our fantastic listeners. Mike, always love being able to do this with you. Have a happy Thanksgiving. Enjoy yourself. We'll talk with you again next week, my friend.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Hopefully the Blues take care of those beat-up Devils tomorrow. I'm sure hoping for it. That way we can talk good next week.
All right, Mike. That's Mike McKenna, former NHL goalie, joins us each and every week on behalf of the fine folks over at Macadoodles. Be sure to get over there, walk through the door,
magnanimous,
ring the bell, and say the code word. If you do all that, you're potentially, and you're the first person to do it.
Yeah. You're going to have to beat out other people.
MSRP Blanton's, not something you can find around St. Louis very often. All right, coming up in about 15 minutes, the Cardinals just added a new piece to their rotation. I do want to pass along, Chaim Bloom has given out a couple of statements. This one goes to John Denton of Cardinals.com. Quote, "We are pleased to add 2 young, talented pitchers to our organization. Richard Fitz has already begun his big league career, and with the power stuff and willingness to attack the strike zone, he has the ability to start games at the highest level for many years. Brandon Clark is an exciting left-handed prospect whose ceiling rivals that of any pitcher in the minor leagues. Both have the potential to be a part of our growing core for a long time. We're happy to welcome them to the St. Louis Cardinals." That is the statement from Chaim Bloom. We'll talk about that more coming up in 15 minutes. Better to Forget It is next here on 101 ESPN. Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. It's BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN. 314-399-9646. That's the Your Comfort Service text line for Bet It or Forget It. You guys give us a scenario. We will tell you if we are betting it or forgetting it here on BK and Ferrario. All right. I want to start out with this one for you guys. You ready? This is going to be a college football one. So, Alex,
deal with the
there are a
coach.
few different things. Bet it or forget it. One of the following will lose this weekend in their rivalry game. Georgia on the road against Georgia Tech. Texas A&M on the road at Texas. Ohio State on the road at Michigan. Or Alabama on the road at Auburn. One of those four will lose this weekend in their rivalry game.
I'll say bet it. I'll play the odds. I don't think every one of those teams is going to win. I think if I would have had to put money on it, it would be Auburn beating Alabama or Texas beating A&M.
Texas is only a 2.5-point underdog.
They're an
Against
underdog
A&M.
in that game?
Texas at home is a 2.5-point underdog
Texas,
against A&M.
That checks out. I would bet you see one of them lose. I don't know who. I don't think it's Alabama. Auburn sucks.
I don't know, man. That defense
is awesome.
Yeah, I still don't get the sense that they can.
I could have included
beat
Ole
Bama.
Miss in this, too.
Yeah, if you did, I would have really bet this. I will say bet it. Someone will lose. I'm trying to think who. I think it might be A&M. I could see where they just kind of sleepwalk past that game. Not too concerned, even if they get in the SEC championship game and they just kind of undersell how good that Texas defense is. And Arch Manning, by the way, I think it's good. Arch Manning has been playing better of late.
He's been really good lately. Yeah.
I could see where Texas wins that football game.
I'm going to forget it. I think all of the favorites end up winning. But, man, would we be thrown into some potential chaos if one or multiple of those teams end up losing.
I saw a stat yesterday that when Ohio State, because I think that game's at Michigan, if I remember correctly, Ohio State is 4-3-1 when they go up against Michigan and they are undefeated and have a chance to go 12-0. 4-3-1 all time in the history of that matchup, which I could see an upset watch there.
I can't. I just think this Ohio State team is so much better.
I know
it's a weird game.
That Ohio State team was the one that won the Natty last year. Didn't they lose to Michigan?
Yeah.
And that Michigan team was awful because I saw them in person when they lost to Illinois in Champaign.
Yeah, and this is a weird game. Rivalry games are different. It's why I got annoyed with the coverage of Mizzou versus Kansas. Now, ultimately, Mizzou hasn't done what they needed to, and everybody that had criticism about Mizzou that day, their big picture criticisms were correct about this Missouri team, but the reason why you celebrate the rivalry games is because it's just a different atmosphere, man. Texas versus A&M, different. Ohio State versus Michigan, different. These games are really meaningful for the fans, and you can kind of throw out the records whenever you get to them. All right, Alex, what do you got for us?
Guys, bet it or forget it. We are going to see a hockey trade, which means salary in, salary out, take place in the NHL between now and Christmas.
For anybody?
For any team.
Bet it.
And I mean, we're talking salary, like guy is moving with $4+ million AAV.
Sure. Bet it.
Yeah, I would bet it. There seems to be a lot of smoke around the league that there is a lot of conversations going on for hockey trades now. Who will do that? I'm not really sure. I saw today Chris Johnston in his mailbag said 36% of the league has no trade protection, which is
that's crazy.
Ridiculous. So that might be the thing that would stop this, but I would still say you're going to see it. So I would bet this.
I was reading a piece from the Rangers Athletic Insider yesterday before the pregame it was a year after Chris Drury basically said, hey, this team's not good enough. We're doing a fire sale. And when they traded out Trouba, they traded out Kreider, they brought in JT Miller. And he's like, everybody that they traded out has gone on to have success elsewhere. Meanwhile, this team doesn't have their first round pick, which was traded to Vancouver, on top of having a ton of dudes who are 30+ years old. Toronto's in a shell right now. Buffalo as well. Vancouver has just basically said everyone's available. I think you're going to see some type of big trade happen between now and December, and it's going to be a wild one at some point.
Guys, bet it or forget it. We will see Chaim Bloom add another top 100 prospect to the Cardinals farm system this offseason.
Bet it.
If they're trading Brendan Donovan, they're going to get a top 100 prospect in return.
Yeah. 100% bet it. You have to. You already set the precedent. You got one. Now, maybe Boston was insane for doing it, but if you got Brendan Donovan, if you've got Brendan Donovan, you're going to have to give up more.
I would bet this as well. I think he's going to. Now, what I'm curious is if he'll go for an arm or if he's going to go for a position player, because as much as we have talked about their lack of pitching in their system, they've got some intrigue at least that I could look at and squint and go, okay, I could see how that could pan out. Who's the next prospect behind Weatherholt? Like
Baez, probably.
Maybe.
Ray Rodriguez.
And like Rodriguez is exciting. Baez is interesting. I don't know if any of them have that ceiling.
Leo Bernal. They've got some interesting players, but I get your point.
They don't have like
Liam
star
Doyle
upside.
and J.J. Weatherholt. They've got real upside.
Yeah.
Now you add this arm to the mix. He's got real upside. They don't necessarily have. Rodriguez is probably the closest thing.
Yeah, and he's far away. So I'm curious to know if they will target a position player in any kind of a move they make for Brendan Donovan. If they acquire pitching, hey, the more the merrier when it comes to developing pitching arms.
314-399-9646 is the Your Comfort Service text line for Bet It or Forget It. You guys give us an idea. We'll tell you if we are betting it or forgetting it here on 101 ESPN. From the 314, guys, bet it or forget it. The Cardinals will eat enough money to get a decent prospect for Arenado. Decent, bet it. Top 100.
I don't know what you're labeling as decent. I think you'd have to eat a significant amount to get a decent prospect. I think we're talking about somebody that's a complete lottery pick.
I think you're probably talking about something, if it's like close to the big league level, similar to what they got in the Steven Matz deal, where they got Blaze Jordan, I think, in that deal. I think a prospect like that once had real upside and you're hoping they can, catch lightning in the bottle, maybe. But probably not somebody you're overly excited about.
Yeah, I think if you eat 15, 20, somewhere in that range, you can get a decent prospect. Like if you want a haul like you got in this Red Sox deal, you basically have to give them Arenado for free.
100%. 314-39, and I would probably do that, honestly.
Give up 34. I don't even. What's he got left? 37.
I think it's like 35. Yeah, somewhere around there. If you eat like $30 million to get a better prospect, whatever.
The only $5 million that's not eats is the money that Colorado owes.
314-399-9646 is the Your Comfort Service text line. Alex, bet it or forget it. The Blues will not have a 30-goal scorer this year. Oh. Nobody on the team will score 30 goals. They do not have anybody currently on pace to do so.
Yeah. That's hard to do.
Kairou's got, I think, 2 goals since he was scratched. I think Holloway's got 3 goals in the month of November.
They have 5 players with 6 goals. The Blues.
I think I might bet this.
Jake Neighbors tied for the team lead.
Yeah, he's gone silent since his return. I think I might bet this. I don't think you're going to have a 30-goal score. Kyrou would be the only one that I think. Kyrou or Holloway, because they just have the shot-first mentality, but
I'll say forget it. Somebody's going to get there.
I'm going to forget. I could see where this is like the 23-24 year for Kyrou, where he had 31. This always is Kyrou's narrative. That's why, again, I didn't understand their scratching up him, where we're all upset about him early on, and then the team/fans rip on him for not playing enough defense or competing hard enough, and he struggles to score goals. Then, like, you get to the second half of the year, you look up and you go, well, that guy just scored 10 goals in 11 games, and next thing you know, he's on pace for 30. So, yeah, I would forget this.
All right, bet it or forget it. Last one up here, guys. Bet it or forget it. Bama loses this weekend. Vandy wins, and Vandy gets into the playoff over Alabama.
I'm going to say forget it.
I think I'm forgetting this as well. I don't think Vandy would get in. I think
they would put Miami in over Vandy because Miami's got to win against Notre Dame. They've got
Vandy's already ranked ahead of them, and Vandy would have a better win this weekend.
Yeah, I'm going to say forget it still. I mean, they've changed the rankings. They don't have a consistent thought process on these rankings ever.
Yeah, but there would be no reason to have Miami jump Vandy after this week.
Vandy lost to Alabama, though. Yeah, even if Alabama loses to Auburn, which Vanderbilt beat Auburn, but, like, I don't know. I don't know if beating Tennessee is as big of a win
since they're going to drop
push them above
25.
Alabama. So I would say forget this. I think Alabama would still get in.
Over Vandy, huh? Vandy has the head-to-head tiebreaker. I would say forget it because I think the Big 12 might get the extra team in.
BYU.
Mm-hmm. That would be my concern. BYU, Utah, potentially one of those teams.
If Michigan beats Ohio State, I think they leapfrog Vandy.
That's the thing. I think there are just too many other scenarios where Vandy would not get in. I don't think Vandy's getting into the playoff. It's crazy. I can't believe a 10-2 team from the SEC is probably going to miss the playoff, but that's where we're at. Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. Coming up next, the Cardinals just added a new piece to their rotation. What can he bring for them, and what does it mean for their future that they just traded Sonny Gray? We'll talk about that next year on 101 ESPN.
Tanner Hendrickson here with the Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. St. Louis Cardinals made their first move of the offseason today as they traded Sonny Gray and $20 million to the Boston Red Sox. In exchange, they will get a left-handed pitching prospect, Brandon Clark, and a starter, Richard Fitz, who made 10 starts for the Boston Red Sox last year, and a player to be named later. Chaim Bloom will be addressing the media at 1:30 today, and you'll be able to hear that press conference live here on 101 ESPN. For the Blues last night, they fell to the New York Rangers 3-2. They will be back in action tomorrow when they visit the New Jersey Devils. We'll have pregame coverage starting at 5 o'clock with Alex Ferrario. Puck drop at 6 o'clock with Chris Kerber and Joey Vitale. This Sports Center update was run by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. See them at londoff.com. Chevy, together we drive. Are you kidding me?
Alongside Alex and T-Bone on BK, Chaim Bloom going to be doing a press conference at 1:30 today. We will play that right here on 101 ESPN. We are also hoping to have Jeff Ponce of Baseball America coming up around 1 o'clock, so stay tuned for that. He will give us some insight into the prospects that the Cardinals were able to get in this deal with the Boston Red Sox. For those of you that missed it, the Cardinals announced a trade earlier today. They are sending Sonny Gray and $20 million to the Boston Red Sox. In return, they get the Red Sox number 5 ranked prospect by MLB Pipeline. At least one system, Fangraphs, ranks Brandon Clark, their former 5th-round pick, as a top 100 prospect in all of Major League Baseball. He's a lefty that throws 100, has a big-time breaking ball, potentially a reliever at the Major League level, but is a starter right now, has big-time upside. They also, the Cardinals, get in return Richard Fitz. Save your jokes. He made 10 starts for Boston this past season. He was fine. He doesn't have big-time swing-and-miss stuff or anything like that, but kind of, I don't know, like Michael McGreevy-ish. Like he back end of the rotation starter, maybe reliever down the road, but fine stuff, middling arm, the kind of prospect that you would expect to get in return under the previous regime. So Fitz makes more sense for the Cardinals. Brandon Clark is an upside play. Love to see that for St. Louis. Alex, they just added a new piece to their rotation in Richard Fitz for 2026. What does this mean for them? How are you viewing the start to the offseason? This is the first breadcrumb we have on what the offseason is going to look like. Did it tell you anything?
I mean, to me, Bradford? Why am I blanking on the name? You just who's the other
Lefty
Richard
Brandon?
Fitz or Brandon Clark?
Clark. Why am I thinking Baldwin for some reason? Yeah, Brandon Clark. That's the one that told me more. I know. I don't know why. It was Bradford and Baldwin that were stuck in my head for some reason. The Brandon one is the one that actually tells me more about. It puts the breadcrumbs out for the Cardinals of kind of their plan here, because it signifies that this is more of the build for the future than trying to just automatically right the ship and make them a competitive team next year. Like Richard Fitz comes in, and he's a really good piece, but he's going to be one of those guys that's going back and forth from Memphis that comes up when they absolutely need him. It's not changing the outlook of the team. The Clark one is the one that you look at and you're like, oh, okay, they're doing this so that in a couple of years, their pitching pipeline is going to be, I don't want to say mimicking what the Seattle Mariners have done, but like you've got all of this young, cost-controlled talent that's ready to be at the rotation at the big leagues. I think that is the piece that actually leaves more of the breadcrumbs of the Cardinals looking at this saying, yeah, it's going to be a couple of years, but when in a couple of years we're ready, all of these pieces are going to be elite for us if we can develop them. That's the other key into all of this.
Yeah, like I like the Fitz addition because I think it does help them for the here and now. But the biggest piece of the return that they got was this lefty that is probably 3 years away, I would say. Like 2028 feels like the time that he could start to emerge on the scene for the Cardinals. It makes me wonder if that is kind of the goal that they are shooting for, because we had talked about it with, I think Brendan Donovan is the name we've brought up, but he's kind of the canary in the coal mine of how far away are they looking when they look for returns, because that will give you an idea of what year they're trying to build towards. Now, that doesn't mean they won't try and be somewhat competitive from 26 to potentially 2028, because they will have guys making their debuts like Weather Holt and Quinn Matthews and potentially Liam Doyle in that time frame who will be a part of the core. But if they are shooting for higher upside plays for future years, makes me think they are looking at this going, okay, we think we can be somewhat interesting from 26 to 28, but our real winning window won't be till 2028. That's why, like, when I was thinking of, like, what else could they add to this rotation, I'm thinking they might be looking more at the Pello deal than they might be looking at, like, Dylan Cease and giving up a third-round pick for him potentially.
And I'm fine with that. I would be fine with them going out and signing somebody that has to settle for a one-year contract and then goes back to the market in 2026 or is traded at the deadline next year. Like, that's fine. You bought a prospect here. That's what you did. For $20 million, paying down $20 million of Sonny Gray's deal, you got a really high upside, high A ball pitcher. Now go do it again, and then do it again, and then do it again, and keep stacking up these quality moves in order to improve your future. And not all these guys are going to be a part of the future. Like, maybe Richard Fitz 2 years from now is on the, I don't know, Pittsburgh Pirates. I don't really care
to get Paul Skeens.
Who among these players is a part of their future core, but some of them are going to be. And if you add enough of them, you choose the pieces that you like, you choose the pieces that you think are going to go elsewhere. Now that also becomes surplus value that can be traded in future seasons. So if in 2028 they look at it and they say, hey, we've got actually 10 starters that we like. Well, trade 4 of them. Trade 3 of them. Package them together the way that the Padres did last year at the deadline in order to get a cost-controlled catcher. Yeah. Probably won't be a catcher that they need, but it might be a right fielder. It might be a closer. They can go out there and find the pieces that they need with some of what they're acquiring this offseason.
Yeah, it's asset accumulation. Like, now You've got 4 pieces that when the missing piece that you don't have, that you can't develop, you say, all right, well, let's go find him that way. Whether it's the big bat in the middle of the lineup or maybe it's the closer or just the complementary piece. I mean, this does signify that, look, this isn't going to be fixed in 1 year. Yes, they may try and be competitive, and maybe you get a piece that's ready at the major leagues for Brendan Donovan. But this, to me, also signifies that this is a little bit of a rebuild. Now, hopefully this isn't a 5 to 7 year rebuild. It's a 2 to 3 year rebuild. But that's the path that they told us that they were trying to do. And again, maybe they're somewhat competitive, but you stockpile all of the assets, you develop them in your system, and then once you're ready to compete, you sell the pieces off that don't mesh to go out there and get the one piece that you didn't develop.
Buster only just tweeting out, it seems inevitable that the Cardinals will either trade or release Nolan Arenado prior to the start of the 2026 season. If so, Wilson Contreras would be the last Cardinals player with a guaranteed contract for 2027. Unless he's traded too.
Yeah, I would trade him too. If this is the return you got for Sonny Gray, I would be very actively looking to move Wilson Contreras.
Do you think first basemen have less of a market than a starting pitcher like Sonny? This is why I didn't like the idea of trading Sonny just for the money. If you're just trying to get rid of your money, that's silly to me. But you got a real return here. Getting a real return in favor of Sonny Gray, cool. That sounds great. Wilson, I don't know what you would get back. If you're willing to eat some of the money, I think you could get maybe a decent prospect, but is that more valuable than the production that you get by Wilson Contreras being a part of your lineup? And what is the human element of this where, Alex, you talk about this all the time with hockey players, like, what's the value of having somebody that can just being a cleanup hitter every day? So that way, like, Alec Burleson doesn't have to be that, or J.J. Weatherholt doesn't immediately have to be that, like some of these guys that are coming through your system right now, it takes some of that mental strain off of them to be in those big time situations every time, every single day.
And you do need to consider the ability to at least remain competitive. You don't want to turn into the White Sox because then your entire development system at the major leagues goes flat. So I do agree with that. I say it all the time for the Blues. There's a human element to it on this side as well. You don't want to become the Chicago White Sox. You at least want to try and maintain a 500 competitiveness.
Last thing on this real quick. There's been some speculation over the last few days that, hey, maybe the Cardinals would be willing to make some kind of a trade within the division. We saw that where they traded Johan Oviedo in the division for Quintana a few years ago. They don't make a whole lot of them, though. It's very rare that the Cardinals make moves within the division. Would you be okay with trading, whether it's Nolan Arenado, Brendan Donovan, Lars Nootbaar, maybe like an Andre Palante if they decide to go that route, Nolan Gorman? Are you cool with trading any of these pieces, including the cost-controlled guys that are really good players right now within this division? Do you care about that?
100% I don't care about this. Like, my daughter, my 4-year-old, tells me not to use the word stupid, but I'm not. Anybody who says you can't trade in division is stupid. Like, if you're identifying a talent that you believe,
disagree with it.
Sure. That was my 4-year-old that was trying to make me a better person, and I appreciate it.
Thanks, Brandon.
If you, Brandon or Bradford, anyway, if you believe that the piece coming back in return could be a massive piece for your future competitiveness, I don't care if the guy is going over to Pittsburgh and going to beat me up for the next 2 to 3 years. Now, if you misevaluate and you get something in return that doesn't turn out to be anything, that's a little bit more of like, yeah, I don't want to do this, but I'll trust the evaluators in this to look at Pittsburgh and say, yeah, they've got a pitcher that we believe is going to be a 2 or 3 in our rotation. Sorry, Brendan Donovan, but we're going to see you 5 or 6 times out of the season.
I agree.
I think there are times where you shouldn't trade in division. Like when Skeens becomes available, the Pirates should not trade him in division.
It's fair. Sure.
That's why I think this
you don't
situation.
Trade Albert Pujols in the division.
Exactly. This situation, the Cardinals, they're not trading any superstar. Like, no offense to Brandon Donovan, really good player, really good complimentary piece. He can go be a part of the Cubs. Like, you're not trading away a guy that is really going to hurt you. So, yeah, I have no issues with trading in the division. Arenado falls into this as well. He's no longer a superstar. If the Pirates do want him as a third baseman and they'll say, hey, we'll take him for $10 million, well, congratulations. You have just acquired Nolan Arenado. So I have no issues with it.
Alongside Alex and T-Bone on BK, Chaim Bloom's press conference will be made available here on 101 ESPN at 1:30. We'll play that for you guys, so stay tuned. Chaim Bloom speaking with the media at 1:30. We'll be able to hear that all right here on 101 ESPN coming up here in about 30 minutes. Coming up in 15, we're hoping to be joined by somebody from Baseball America who can give us some more insight into the prospects the Cardinals just got in this return for Sonny Gray. But next, the Junk Drawer here on 101 ESPN.
Alex Ferrario with you to talk about my friends out at Ted Drew's off of Chippewa, the famous custard destination for all of your custard needs. And on top of that, it's the holiday season, which means we are getting closer to the Christmas tree lot opening up. That's this Friday. Ted Drew's becomes your one-stop holiday destination. Beautiful selection of premium Christmas trees you can get from top quality pine and fir trees, including customer favorites such as the Fraser fir, Scotch pine, all hand selected for freshness and fullness. Plus, in that Christmas tree lot, they've got lush holiday greenery you can go from, decor, including handmade wreaths, garland, swags, mistletoe, and so much more. So while you're out there, walk through the parking lot, enjoy the holiday season, buy some of that custard in bulk, bring it home, stuff it in the freezer. You've got it for all the holiday parties that are coming up. They've got a new flavor out, too. It's called the Coffee Float, a bold dark roast blend with 2 scoops of Ted's delicious vanilla custard. Why stop there? If you're not into the coffee flavor, then you could check out the hot chocolate flavor and make that a float. Again, Ted Drew's off of Chippewa on historic Route 66. Check them out where tradition tastes great and the holidays feels right at home.
Alongside Alex and T-Bone on BK, let's dive into the junk drawer. What do you got for us today, Alex?
So I'm not going to yell at clouds today. I'm not going to get upset. But Katie and I were having a conversation last night before we went to bed, and I thought it was interesting, and I wanted to bring it to the air. Do you remember things that parents or people told you that if you do as a kid is going to impact you long term?
Like if you step on a crack, you break your mom's back.
No, like if your
I do remember that one.
If your eyes are crossed,
you swallow
they'll stay that way.
It'll stay in your system.
Or
for
if you
7
swallow
years.
watermelon seeds, watermelon's going to grow in your stomach. So we were having this conversation, and then it just went down a rabbit hole. Like, I remember in grade school when my teachers would tell me, these report cards are going to follow you for the rest of your life. And I was worried.
Permanent record.
Yeah, I was so worried that if I got a D in, like, history class, that for the rest of my life, my employer was going to be like, you got a D in 4th grade.
Yep.
You failed PE.
Yeah, you can't be in this
The
one.
most overrated thing in the world is kids do well in school. GPA, like all of this stuff that you think is the singular most important thing ever. It's important for scholarships and stuff, but beyond that, like, bro, it does not matter.
Katie told me that she was told when she was a kid, don't stand too close to the microwave while it's cooking because the radio waves will go in and infect your brain.
I heard not to stare into it. I don't know if that was true.
Have a conversation on that one.
BK believes that one. Like, I also remember
Microwaves we could have a conversation about.
Yeah, like, don't stick your head in the microwave when it's cooking. I also remember thinking quicksand was going to be a bigger problem. The more I got older, I'm like, oh, man, avoid that quicksand. You get stuck in it, you're not coming out. Like, some of the stuff that they told us when we were kids, don't stare cross-eyed too long. Your eyes are going to be stuck that way.
So this is so funny. Something that I was talking about with Kara the other day. Kids don't have this nowadays because they don't have folders. I think everything is just
no, my daughter does.
She does.
Yeah, she's got like a folder she takes with her to preschool.
Okay.
She's in preschool, so I mean.
So we used to have folders and we would like almost color code it.
Yeah.
Where for me, yellow in my mind is math.
Yep.
Blue in my mind is science.
Red was math. Red, stop.
Oh, really?
Don't do math.
Blue
Green was history.
Always science.
Yeah.
Green was social studies for me. Like there were like I don't know why but it is imprinted in my mind.
Do you remember
certain colors are subjects?
Do you remember the assignment books? Did you get those where like this was like in like 3rd or 4th grade where they'd send them home and you'd have to write down, like, we couldn't leave class for the day unless the teacher approved us filling out the assignment books.
So that was our planner. We called it our planner.
Yeah, ours was the assignment
books. We would have to get
books.
it signed. This is bad. We would have to get it signed when we got home. I just always forgot. I never remembered. So
you forged
I was really
your
good at
parents'
forging
signature.
my mom's signature.
Buddy.
So that was the go-to.
I got good at doing my dad's.
Yep, that one. And then I used to, this has nothing to do with this, but when I was a kid, I talked too much in class. So like in 2nd grade, they'd send home sheets that said Alex talked this many times and disrupted class. My parents would have to sign it. I used to just throw them in the trash and not bring them back to class. So we just went down that rabbit hole where I'm like, yeah, I was told some wild-ish by my parents that things are going to happen to me, and let alone, I don't need cursive anymore.
Yeah, that's definitely true.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, I can only sign my name. I can't read. My grandma sends me like birthday, happy Thanksgiving, or happy Halloween, and she writes in. I can't
Katie
read
writes
it
in
to
cursive.
save my life.
Katie still writes in cursive, and she'll write like cards for me on my birthdays and anniversary. I don't know what this says.
Got a couple of texts. One from Boozy, one from Buzz. Math is blue, BK. Everybody knows that. Also from Buzz. Guys, math is red, blue is history, yellow is language arts, green is science. This is the only correct answer.
I can't believe people remember that. I don't remember that like at all. I knew I had folders, but they're all just labeled. They were different colors, but labeled.
Red was math, green was history for me, blue was science, and I think I had like
I think
orange.
everybody had blue as science.
Yeah.
I refuse to believe that there's anybody out there.
Know.
Yeah.
Oh, somebody else on the text line said, you'll never be able to have your calculator around. You've got to be able to do this in your head. Dude, that one.
Yeah.
That's aged poorly.
God, that
Because
one.
I've got it all the time.
Well, and how about the open book? Like, no open book test. You need to remember this stuff. Are you kidding me? Everything is open book today.
Honestly, being able to use an open book test is a super valuable skill to have now.
To be able to find stuff quickly?
Yes. Like that is a skill because now you can go to the internet, and as long as you are good at finding stuff quickly, that's a big part of a job.
Yep.
Is having the ability. Anyways.
314 said, Alex, to be fair, you'd be blanked if you got stuck in quicksand. Yeah, but how often do we find quicksand?
Never.
I was told, watch out for quicksand. Some wild stuff, man.
Alongside Alex and T-Bone on BK, it's BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN. Coming up in about 20 minutes, we'll hear from Chaim Bloom. He's doing his press conference with the media. We'll play that in its entirety right here on BK and Ferrario. But coming up next, we're either going to be joined by Jeff Ponce of Baseball America, or we're going to talk about how you're going to remember the Sonny Gray era here in St. Louis. Talk about that next year on 101 ESPN.
Tanner Hendrickson here in Missouri. Big news. It's almost your turn to get in the game because DraftKings Sportsbook is coming to the Show Me State in less than a week on December 1st. Soon you'll get fast payouts when you win, a safe and secure app that's easy to use, and promos that keep the action going all season long. No wonder it's America's top-rated sportsbook app. So the countdown is on. New customers can sign up right now and score $300 in bonus bets on launch day. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use my code Tanner. That's code Tanner as new Missouri customers sign up today and score $300 in bonus bets once we're live. That's code Tanner. The crown is yours. In partnership with DraftKings Sportsbook, gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 plus, physically present in Missouri. Eligibility and restrictions apply. Subject to regulatory licensing requirements. Bonus bets are not withdrawable and expire 7 days after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gambling resources, see sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos.
Alongside Alex and T-Bone on BK. So how are we going to remember the Sonny Gray years here in St. Louis? 314-399-9646. That's the Air Comfort Service text lines. Chaim Bloom will address the media coming up at 1:30. So stay tuned for that. You'll be able to hear it right here on 101 ESPN. Alex, how would you summarize your relationship with the Sonny Gray years, the last two seasons?
I don't think this
60 starts in total.
Yeah, I don't think it's indicative of Sonny Gray, but I would call it a failure. Now, I mean, you got a hell of a return on it that I didn't think was possible. But, I mean, you acquired Sonny Gray because in their eyes, they thought that they could salvage where the team was at and keep them competitive. And throughout the Sonny Gray era, you missed the playoffs. Did he become the top pitcher in your rotation? Yes. He performed to the level that you signed him to, but you signed him to keep your team competitive, and you missed the playoffs every single year. And one of those, you got a top 10 pick in the draft. So, I mean, I think the signing itself, you got the return on Sonny Gray, who was a top pitcher in your rotation, but overall, you shouldn't have signed him because your team wasn't competitive.
Yeah, I think the signing ends up as like a D when you look back on it. Like, he was fine. He was the best of your rotation. That was a low bar to clear. I mean, the rotation was garbage by the time that they had signed Sonny Gray. So he did not live up to my expectations. I thought he was going to end up be able to slot in as a true number one, where I didn't have to squint and just say, hey, it's because he's on the Cardinals, he's a number one. And he didn't. He ended up being more of an analytics darling than anything else because the standard numbers were not there. You look at his FIP was good. The strikeout numbers were good, but he couldn't avoid the home run ball. I mean, he finished in 2 years in St. Louis with an ERA above 4. For a guy that you signed to be your number one, he was 1% above league average. So it did not work out the way that the Cardinals had envisioned, and it's a good thing they ended up getting a decent return for him.
I can't tell you how much this pains me. I can't.
Are you going to fight to tell us that it was a success?
Randy was right.
Oh, ow.
Oh, wow. Man, that is...
I'll clip it.
You should send it to him. He'd appreciate it.
He was 100%
You should
correct.
tag him on Twitter since he doesn't follow you.
Yeah.
Maybe he follows you now, man.
No, I don't think so.
No.
I would say it's even less likely.
BK? No.
He was right. Sonny Gray wilted under the heat. Sonny Gray did not respond well to anything that threw off any of his pregame routine. Sonny Gray was not a guy that could lead a rotation. He was not a number one, not a traditional number one. Sonny Gray's underlying numbers were always, in his time here in St. Louis, better than his actual numbers. If you look at the underlying stuff, man, he was awesome in his time here in St. Louis. But eventually that has to match. Over the course of 350 innings, you would think that the actual numbers would reflect what the underlying stuff said, because his fielding independent pitching was 3.2 in his time here in St. Louis, which means that like behind a neutral or in front of a neutral defense, you'd expect roughly a 3.2 ERA. His actual ERA with the Cardinals was about 4. Those are not similar. A 3.2 is a number one. A 4 is a number 3 or 4 starter for a contender. So it was a disappointment. It was a disappointment relative to expectations. It was also just too little too late. I think that's really the lesson here. If Sonny Gray was their number 2 or 3 starter, I think they would have probably been a playoff team over the last 2 years. The problem for the Cardinals is that he wasn't your 2 or 3. He was your clear-cut, no doubt about it, number 1 with no real number 2 behind him. And the Cardinals were always terrified of him getting hurt. And they had to manage him significantly to keep him on the mound. Like every time that guy went to go field a baseball, they were terrified of one of the hammies blowing out. Terrified of it. And so they operated accordingly. You could feel it in games where they're like, uh-oh, I don't know, we could push him another inning, but let's just get him out of here. It's better to have him for the next start than it is for one more inning today. So it was disappointing. It was a disappointing effort relative to what my expectations were.
I also think that the way that they handled him speaks to how they handled the roster construction, because you had no other depth in your system to where it's like, ooh, Sonny Gray gets hurt, we're screwed. Where in all reality, your team was bad for pretty much the entire time that Sonny Gray was there. They just didn't want to admit it. And they focused on trying to win more than they focused on trying to build the rest out. And Sonny Gray, unfortunately, was a massive cause of that.
Yeah.
They need more Sonny Grays. What they need to do now, they need to develop Sonny Grays. Yeah. That's got to be the next plan.
Younger Sonny Grays who will go deeper into games and not get upset about the heat.
Like this year, he had 180 innings. That's fine. That is a modern-day starting pitcher. If you can get 6 innings on average for your starter, and that's what he was at this year, 32 starts, 180 innings, just under 6 innings per start. That's fine, man. You could live with that. Sonny also had some awesome starts. Like, you go back to the game in, Cleveland?
Yeah.
Dude, it's as good of a game as I've seen pitched by a Cardinal in years.
Wasn't it?
It was amazing.
Under 100 pitches?
Absolutely
10
incredible.
strikeouts?
So I'll always remember that. And just like I'll always remember the Miles Michaelis nearly getting the no-hitter against Tampa, was it?
Yeah, Harrison Bader gave up the hit.
Yeah, we'll always remember some
that.
of these performances. That doesn't wash away some of the bad taste in your mouth. And for Sonny, it was like, hey, man, he was representative of this era of Cardinals baseball in that he wasn't good enough to be what you were asking of him. And for so much of the last 7 years, isn't that the story?
Yep.
Cardinals were asking guys to be more than what they actually were. They signed Sonny to be a number 1. He's a 2 or a 3. The Red Sox are asking him to be a 2 or a 3. There's talk now in Boston of if this is their plan to be a number 2 starter, it's not good enough. Now think about that for a second. He was the no doubt about it number 1 here for 2 years. And there, they have Garrett Crochet, who is their unquestioned ace. They have Brian Bayo, who is their unquestioned, like, number 3-ish starter right now. Got a bunch of young talent that's coming through their system as well. And now they've added Sonny Gray, and they're like, not good enough.
Cardinals, meanwhile, high-fived when they got Sonny Gray to agree to come to them.
Yeah, and he was the last piece.
Yeah, well, because they signed Lance Lynn to be a 3 and a Kyle Gibson to be a 2. No, I'm sorry. Miles Michaelis was the 2. Kyle Gibson was the 3. Lynn was the 4.
Matt from Nodak says on the YouTube chat, youtube.com/101ESPN STL. Someone put this in hockey terms because I don't understand baseball. The Cardinals were asking Sonny Gray to the hockey equivalent, if I'm just going to go with the Blues. Tell me if you agree with this. This is asking Jordan Kyrou to be a number 1 winger.
Yeah.
Yeah, or when they moved on from Petro, asking Parayko to be the alpha of the team.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or right now, Pavel
#1
Buchnevich
defenseman.
to be the top winger with Robert Thomas.
Yeah. They asked him to be more than he was capable of. That doesn't mean he's bad. Sonny's a good starter. The Red Sox clearly believe that. Otherwise, they wouldn't have given up what they did for him. He's got value. He's just not what the Cardinals asked of him. All right, coming up in 15 minutes, we'll hear the press conference from Chaim Bloom. We'll play that right here on 101 ESPN. But next, let's dive into some NFL quick hitters, including our takeaways from last night's game. Alex had the 49ers as his survivor pick. He advances, but boy, was he angry watching that game. We'll talk about that next here on 101 ESPN. So the 49ers won in a game that if you didn't watch it last night, you were better off for it. There were 5 interceptions in total, Alex. 3 from Brock Purdy. I believe all 3 in the first half, if I remember correctly. 2 from Bryce Young. These teams combined for all of 29 points. It was horrible. It was just bad football from both sides. Do we learn anything here, Alex?
Yeah, the 49ers shouldn't be a playoff team, and the Panthers have some type of miracle worker that they're close to 500, and we're 500 last game. That was an embarrassing game. And I'll just take you through the eclipse of Alex Ferrario, because at the time, the Blues had just lost in an embarrassing fashion against the Rangers. My survivor pick is the 49ers. They're up, which is fun. Thanks a lot, Christian McCaffrey. And then Brock Purdy just continues to go out there and heave footballs to the guys that are in the wrong colored jerseys. I was so pissed because they kept throwing him back out there. Go back to Mac Jones. He was better. They got it done.
Mac Jones has looked like the better quarterback.
Yeah, they got the job done
this
though.
year.
So I can't be too upset. I'm staying alive. John Travolta, ladies and gentlemen.
So the Panthers aren't good, but are they going to make the playoffs?
No.
I don't think so. I still think Tampa's going to win that division. And that's their only path in my opinion.
Yeah.
Tampa's just been so bad lately. I mean, so bad. They've lost 4 of their last 5 games now.
And now Baker.
Yeah, how long is he out for?
It sounds like he might even play next week.
As long as he's back by the time that the Panthers and Bucks play. I mean, they play twice down the stretch. Here's the Panthers.
Twice in the last 3 weeks?
Yeah, here's the Panthers schedule. Rams, Saints, Bucks, Seahawks, Bucks.
Yeah, you win one game. 2 losses in there. And if they take care of business against, really, they have to go undefeated against the Bucks.
Yeah. Which
the Bucks, meanwhile, Arizona, New Orleans, the Falcons, 2 against Carolina, 1 at the Miami Dolphins. So that might be exactly what the doctor ordered.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the Bucks are going to win that division. And I know you said San Fran shouldn't be a playoff team. Can we have a moment of truth with the Lions? The Lions are not much better than San Fran.
So but at least they have elite playmakers.
Yeah, but so does San Fran. Like CMC's playing unbelievable this year.
I do think it's a little different. I mean, Jahmyr Gibbs,
Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jameson Williams when they get him involved.
But when Sam Laporta was healthy,
Yeah, and they have David Montgomery, who's still
as good as it once was, though. I think that's the biggest difference this year for the Lions. Their offensive line has been elite. It reminds me a little bit of the Cowboys. Remember when the Cowboys were awesome with Zeke, CeeDee, all these guys, and then the offensive line started to have pieces that were taken away, whether it was injury, retirement, free agency, whatever it may be, and the offense ceased to be what it once was.
Yeah.
That's kind of how the Lions feel right now, where the offense just isn't quite what it used to be.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, either one of them can get in. I don't think either one of those teams, Lions or 49ers, get out of the first round in the playoffs. But those are the 2 teams that are battling for it, and honestly, both are kind of meh right now. It's just watching.
Schedules will determine a lot of this.
Watching Brock Purdy, at least like Jared Goff can make plays. Watching Brock Purdy is hurtful for my eyes.
Can I read you out the 49ers schedule? Just give me a quick win-loss on these games, okay? As I go along here.
Oh, you said so probably 0.
This is for the 49ers at the Browns.
I think they win.
I do too, but I don't know how they put up points versus the defense.
Home against the Titans.
The win.
At the Colts.
Loss.
Home against the Bears.
Loss.
I think they win.
I think at home they can win that one.
I think they lose.
And then home against Seattle.
Loss.
You guys have them at 11 wins.
Yep, they're in.
Detroit, meanwhile, home against Green Bay.
I'll say win.
Yeah, win.
It'll be close.
It's home.
Okay,
it's
I think
home.
Loss.
It's a win. Well, we know why. Yeah, we know why. Your team, the quarterback that can't throw passes.
The Lions they lost against the Eagles, they lost against the Vikings, and they went to overtime against the Giants. I don't have a whole lot of faith in this team right now. But I'll go with you guys.
That's the faithless football
home
game.
Against the Cowboys.
That's
home against the Cowboys.
That's a win.
Yeah.
Okay. At the Rams.
Loss.
Home against the Steelers.
Win.
Yeah, I'd say win.
At the Vikings.
Win.
I'd say win.
They lost at home against the Vikings. Just
weird
for those games.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I've seen the Vikings.
And then on the road at the Bears.
I think that's a loss.
That one I'll say on the road. I could say.
I think that's a loss.
11 for both of them.
Yeah, I think I was the 10 for the 49ers because I think they lose. I don't remember which game it was.
Close, man.
Yeah.
Cleveland, I think is what you said.
No, not Cleveland. There was one that was deeper on that I was like, I think they lose that one.
Chicago, Seattle.
Chicago was the one that I think they lost. T-Bone had them win versus Chicago. I think they lose to Chicago.
Chicago's going to have a big say in who ultimately makes it, not only for themselves, I think they're getting in, but also for these other teams. By the way, it's not an easy schedule for the Bears down the stretch. On the road, at Philly, at Green Bay, home against Cleveland, home against Green Bay, at San Fran, and then home against Detroit.
Dang.
We're all kind of like writing them in pen as a playoff team. That is their last 6 games. They're 8-3 right now. They could lose 5 of those games.
Yeah.
And in that scenario, you're going 9-8. If you lose that to the wrong team, you could be the one that puts both Detroit and San Fran into the playoff. And they already lost against Detroit. If they lose the next game against Detroit, head-to-head will be in Detroit's favor. Yeah. So,
all right, guys. Next
gonna
up,
be interesting.
Next up in the Survivor pool, the Ferrario Survivor pool, we've got the Chargers at home against the Raiders. Ooh. And there's only 17 teams in the Survivor pool that can use the Chargers. And I don't know if you guys have looked at the slate around. It's not a good week for going Survivor.
Have Seattle left, or are they already? I would assume Seattle and the Rams have been used.
There's probably a couple of available, but not the bulk of it.
Because those are the other two that I would feel comfortable with. Seattle has the Minnesota Vikings. Oh, and Minnesota's going with their backup to JJ. That's expected, at least.
After the... Huh? Is that Wentz? Is that who that is?
No, it's the
Wentz is hurt.
Undrafted guy.
Yeah, Wentz is out for the year.
Yeah, exactly.
After this coming week, though, oh my God, is it going to be brutal because all of the good teams I have chosen are gone.
We do have a pretty good Thanksgiving slate, at least the first couple of games. Packers versus Lions should be fun. Chiefs versus Cowboys, I actually think has a chance to be a pretty good game. It's on the road for the Chiefs at Dallas. Dallas is going to put up some points in this game. I think it could be very high scoring. If you're doing like a daily fantasy situation on Thursday, this is the game that I would be looking to target. And then the final game of the day is Cincy at Baltimore, which again, you could get a lot of points.
Burrow's back.
You sure you want to hand out daily fantasy advice?
We lost last night, boys.
How many points?
So we're in the Wayno League. We're excited about this.
He's trying to just he's like kamikazing himself because he doesn't want you to throw the first pitch, T-Bone.
So we're in the Adam Wainwright Big League Impact Fantasy League, and the way that they do it is it's weekly. You're in a league, but it's a salary cap league, so similar to DraftKings or FanDuel, you put your team together with a certain salary cap. So this week, I think we had a pretty good team. I did not have Jahmyr Gibbs on it, though, so we lost because our opponent did have Jahmyr Gibbs, and if you didn't see, he had 56 fantasy points. So we have now lost like 2 of our last 3 games, and we're now in 4th out of the 50 teams. We were in 2nd coming into the week.
Embarrassing.
Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. Coming up next, we will hear the Chaim Bloom press conference. The Cardinals have officially made a deal. They are sending Sonny Gray to the Boston Red Sox, and in return, they get a couple of starting pitching prospects. We'll hear what Chaim Bloom has to say about that next year on 101 ESPN. Welcome back to BK and Ferrario. Chaim Bloom addressing the media right now, doing so as the Cardinals made a trade today. Sonny Gray going to the Boston Red Sox. Here's Chaim Bloom.
We traded Sonny Gray to the Red Sox, receiving 2 players in return, right-handed pitcher Richard Fitz and left-handed pitcher Brandon Clark. Really excited about both of those players. Fitz has big league experience and has what it takes to pitch in a big league rotation. Clark is still in the minor leagues, still on his way up, an up-and-comer with a lot of promise. Before taking your questions, I do want to just express some appreciation for Sonny and what he did in our uniform. Getting to know him these past couple of years has been a pleasure. And obviously watching him pitch is, you all and all of our fans have also a pleasure. But what he did on the field, who he is off the field, his dedication to his craft. There's not that many guys that have been around who are as much fun to talk pitching with as Sonny is. And what he did for the people around him, how much he cares about this game, and how seriously he took the commitment that he made to this organization, something that we all appreciate and wish him well in Boston.
Thanks, Chaim. To get us started with questions, John Denton with MLB.com.
Hey, thanks for joining us. If there was any question, does this kind of signal the direction of the franchise by trading a veteran for 2 up-and-coming prospects?
Yeah, to me, it's exactly consistent with everything that I've been talking about for the past couple months. I laid this out, when I spoke to you guys for the first time in late September. We have somewhere we need to go. We're not there now. And the way to get there is through building on our core of talent and having promising young talent that can be with us for many years and that have their best ahead of them, we hope. And so, we talked about it, that sometimes the long term might conflict with the short term. Sonny's a really talented pitcher. There's no doubt about that. But I said it then, I'm going to say it again. When those 2 things run in opposite directions, we're going to choose the long term, because that's where this organization needs to be. We're trying to get back to a certain place and stay there. And history has shown that the way the Cardinals always do that is with our young, talented core. So we're trying to build on that core and excited about these 2 guys and what they're going to mean for us as part of that.
One more, if you could just address, there's no promises in rebuilding. It's often trying and tough on a fan base. Can you just talk about this process and the patience and stick-to-itiveness that it's going to take to get through this?
Yeah, look, nobody who gets in this game has any guarantees. I think the more fully we commit to what we need to do, the better it will go and the quicker we will get there. I don't view this as something that's about patience. I view it as something that we have to attack with purpose. We have to attack it with urgency, and we have to do that every day. There are elements of our strategy that just make sense for those to be long-term, but that doesn't mean we're going to be complacent, and that doesn't mean we're going to sit on our hands. We're going to do things every day, whether they're things behind the curtain that people can't see, to try to get us there. And sometimes, like today, we do something that is very visible, but we are doing it because we think it's going to get us where we need to go as quickly and as effectively as possible and put us in position to stay there.
Okay, Derek Gould, St. Louis Post-Dispatch.
Just had to unmute there. Hey, I just wondered real quick, first a question just on the guys' health on these 2 pitchers, where they are after missing some time last year. Fitz had the nerve injury or issue, I think, at the end of the year where he is, and then Clark kind of had that persisting blister issue where you feel he is. And then I have a follow-up question, if that's all right.
Yeah, everything that we had heard that was backed up by what we were able to see reviewing their medical information, and actually just spoke to Richard. He is back throwing. He was in Boston until last week and just went back home, and he's back throwing. And we would expect him to have a normal offseason and be ready to compete for a rotation spot in spring training. As for Brandon, obviously he's had some medical history, and most recently those blisters, which are something that some young pitchers, especially with the ability to create some of the shapes that he can create, might suffer from and have to learn to manage. Look, this is his first full pro season. That is something we're going to have to work with him to help manage as he goes forward. I think it's a byproduct of some of the very unique things he's able to do on the mound So obviously, when somebody's at this spot in their journey, there's a lot they have to learn about themselves, and a lot we have to learn about them too as we get to know them. But this is a guy that our pitching team did a lot of homework on as we were discussing this acquisition, and we're going to be there to support him in a lot of different ways, whether it's what he does between the lines, what he does off the field, to make sure he has every chance to reach his potential. But he should be ready to go when spring training comes.
And my quick follow-up, in a winter where this could be the first of several trades that you're dealing with, where a veteran goes elsewhere and youth comes in, I wondered if you could kind of give us a sense of what you prioritized in the return, and whether that was pitching, whether that was a blend in this case, like Fitz is going to contribute, Clark has high upside. Could you take us inside, like maybe what good returns on veterans look like for you this offseason?
Yeah. Well, one thing I should say, and we've talked about it before, we do see value regardless of, whether we're building for the long haul. We still do see value in what veterans can contribute in the short term, and that's always something that you have to weigh. And sometimes those short-term effects, sometimes those short-term contributions have long-term effects. That the mentorship that veterans can provide sometimes helps young players establish themselves and be able to grow and move forward. So that is definitely something we are mindful of, something we will be mindful of as we do build this club. And I do expect us to add to this club too as the winter goes on. It's obviously still early in the off season, but we will be able to do that. As far as the return, it works out nicely, as you said, that we do end up getting in this trade someone who we feel is equipped to compete for a big league rotation spot right away, and who we also have a long runway with going forward. And then obviously in Clark, you get somebody who's pure arm talents up there with just about anybody that's pitching in the minor leagues right now. Obviously, it's a long way from that to establishing himself in the big leagues, but the upside is incredible there, and we're hopeful we can help him reach it. We do, when it comes to putting together our big league club, as you know, we want to make sure we have rotation depth, and so it's very nice to get talent back that fits that. But we also would never want to walk by talent that, even though it's a little further away, has a chance to really impact us in the long term. And it's nice that we were able to get some of both in this deal.
Okay, Matt Pauley, KMOX, the flagship station of the Cardinals.
Thanks for doing this. When it comes to taking on some money in these deals, from your approach, is it you just need to do that to get the deal done? Or is it a situation where, and it's not just this deal, other deals that you're talking about as well, is it if you take on a little bit more money, you are able to get a better return to go along with it?
It's different in every deal. We're fortunate that we have the backing of ownership to be able to do that if it is the best deal for us. You'd obviously always rather not have to put cash in a deal, but if that's what's possible with the other side and that nets you the best return, then it's been great to have ownership's backing to be able to do that. And, there's always a sliding scale with these things, and you assess different possibilities as you look at the market. You obviously have to factor it in, because it does eat into, the resources you have available to build a club in the here and now. But we thought this was the best deal available to us, and that's why we did it.
Jeff Jones, Belleville News Democrat.
Hey, Chaim, you spoke to it a little bit with Derek there, but obviously with Sonny, when you're trading away that many innings, that many strikeouts, that much stability with a pitcher, where do you view your rotation entering 2026 at the moment? And do you think that you all need to go find a pitcher, if not at Sonny's level, someone at least comparable who can tote that kind of load in a more certain way going into next season?
Yeah, definitely something we've discussed a lot as the action on Sonny picked up, and it looked like there might be some deal possibilities that made sense for us to do. We like the upside of the guys we have, and my hope is that as the winter goes on, we will be able to add more players that have a chance to pitch in rotation for a while. Certainly without Sonny, we lose that veteran anchor. I mean, he's one of the better pitchers in the game. He's done a lot of things. He's pitched a lot of places. He's been on all-star teams. He's done a lot of things, obviously, that a lot of the guys that we have, that's all still in front of them, and that's really valuable. So, certainly we will also explore veterans that could come in here and help stabilize us. not to put them in the way of any of our youth, but to make sure that we have the right insulation up and down that rotation. We want to create some competition. We want to make sure that we have options and that we allow our young guys to flourish, while also making sure that that next wave that we hope is coming doesn't get pressed into service before it's their time. We want to make sure that they're ready for the highest level of baseball before we throw them into the fire. And so we will look to add to our rotation, whether it's more youth or whether it's a veteran, as the winter goes on.
As you all kind of look at the lay of the land today, is it fair to describe it as Liberatore and McGreevy as guys who returned to spots, maybe Palante, Fitz, Kyle Leahy as guys who were competing for spots and then open behind them? Is that reasonable?
As things sit today, yeah, that's a pretty good rundown. We've talked about Kyle's going to stretch out and come into spring training looking to, see if that's a fit, see if we can have him have as successful a transition there as Libby had this year. He certainly has a repertoire to do it. I know he wants to do it. So it makes all the sense in the world, did then, does now, to give him a chance to do that. But we are also still, of course, going to look to add.
Katie Wu with The Athletic.
Hi, I'm paraphrasing here, but at your intro press conference, you had a line about not conceding anything when it comes to next year's roster, but making decisions that might require short-term sacrifices for the long-term payoff. This is certainly a trade that fits that mold. How would you elaborate a little bit more to fans as you look to other decisions that you'll make this offseason as to what kind of short-term sacrifices you're looking to make?
Yeah, I agree with you that, as I see it the same way, that this move really fits into everything that I talked about when I said those things. We are not going to concede anything. Obviously, feel that we've gotten some really talented players back and look forward to adding more talent to the club, and we will do that as the winter goes on. But we also need to follow our plan. And like I said, the more we're committed to that, the more we follow it, the better this will go, and the quicker the good things that we're looking to happen will happen. So it's too early to know what other possibilities could be. I mean, you never really know until you start getting into things. We are constantly talking to every club, understanding interest in our players, hunting players that we have interest in, whether they're younger players, whether they're players in the middle of their career or older players, and obviously also talking to free agents at the same time. So I don't know exactly what those possibilities will look like, or whether other things will be possible when it comes to the trade front. It obviously takes multiple partners, but we're going to keep talking and keep looking for things that can help get us where we want to go.
Thank you.
Benjamin Hodgman, St. Louis Post-Dispatch.
Hey, Chaim, with Brandon Clark specifically, can you describe some hopes you guys want to see and need to see as he grows the next couple of years to potentially be a major league starter?
Yeah, Brandon's a really, really interesting player. A lot of credit to the Red Sox for getting him where they did in the draft and then doing a good job with him early in his pro career. Like I said, this is a guy who has, in terms of pure talent, in terms of what's coming out of his hand, the extension that he gets, it's up there with anybody that's in the minor leagues. You really could put him on that short list of highest upside, most talented pitchers in the minor leagues. What he needs to demonstrate as he goes through his career, obviously, is health, consistency, command. To create some of those angles and some of the stuff that he creates, there's obviously a lot of moving parts. And I think you could see by the up and down season, obviously not all those things are in place yet, at least from our distant view. We'll obviously get to know more how he feels about it and felt about it when we get to know him and talk to him. So it's really about just putting a comprehensive plan in place on and off the field, both between the lines, in the training room, in the weight room, all the things we've been talking about, honestly, that we're trying to create in our player development system of having our performance group, our on-field group work together to get players to the best versions of themselves. That's all going to come into play here. It was great to have those groups at the table as we were talking about this. Really excited for this challenge, understanding that he is far away from that ceiling, but if we get him there, he can be elite. And this type of talent is stuff that you really can't teach. And so we're excited to put a plan around him to give him the best chance to reach that ceiling.
You're listening to Chaim Bloom here on 101 ESPN. A few more minutes with the Cardinals president of baseball operations as the Cardinals traded Sonny Gray today to the Boston Red Sox.
With Gray, obviously this is someone who's been able to sustain success into his mid-30s. What are the mound characteristics that you've seen that have permitted him to do so?
Yeah, I obviously have gotten to see Sonny pitch for a long time and got to know him a little bit these last couple of years. It's not a secret. You can see some of the things that he's talked about publicly. When he talks about his craft, he really understands what he's doing. He's incredibly thoughtful about the art of pitching, both in terms of the arsenal and how to create different shapes, how to build an arsenal and create stuff that can get hitters out, and then also how to battle out there and how to pitch. The cat and mouse game. He really understands that. He is a guy who can make the baseball do a lot of different things and is able to do that consistently and competes. He's top shelf at all those things. Like I said, it takes these guys that pitch at a high level into their mid-30s. So far, it doesn't happen by accident. And being around him, I was able to see why.
And the second question is, in terms of the dynamics of negotiating this deal, with whom were you primarily dealing, and did your former affiliation with the Red Sox make it easier or stranger to be able to consummate a deal like this?
Yeah, there were different conversations with different people in both organizations that led to this outcome. Yeah, look, it was a little strange, obviously, but at the end of the day, that doesn't really impact things. We're trying to, do the best we can for our club, no matter who it's with. If we accomplish our objectives, then that doesn't matter. It shouldn't matter, where I worked last or anything other than what's best for the St. Louis Cardinals. And I know they're trying to accomplish something themselves too. So this is one where, we each had some different objectives here that we were looking to accomplish, and we were able to match up.
Thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Brian Walton, Cardinal Nation.
I have a couple of timing related questions, please. You mentioned that there were other offers for Sonny. You also acknowledged that it's relatively early in the free agent season. The free agent pitching market hasn't really fully developed yet. How did you decide that this was the right time to make this trade? And is this relatively early trade any indicator of wanting to be more aggressive as you continue to look at other moves this offseason?
Yeah, there's always a little bit of art to that, right? Of figuring out when it's time to pull the trigger. And ultimately, there's some subjectivity around that always. It just became clear coming out of the GM meetings. We had a pretty good idea of where the interest was and what the interest levels were. Felt like this was something that might come to a head early. And especially understanding, look, for everybody's sake, Sonny has a say in this too, right? There's a no trade clause involved. And not only is it harder for us to navigate our offseason the longer that goes on, but there's a human side to this too, where players want to prepare for spring training. And, I think it's easier to work through these situations when the player and his family have more runway themselves to figure out where to go. That wasn't something Sonny ever directly expressed, but just speaking generally about, some of the things that go into this. But really most is just assessing the market, assessing the interest and what we might be able to get back, and then saying, look, is this something that ultimately is good for us? Like I talked about earlier, does it push us towards our goals? Does it help us get where we want to eventually go? And, we felt this was a yes. And so then it's a question of, okay, is there value to waiting? Obviously, we can't play out the alternate universe where we did. But in general, I think you got to trust your instincts on this. That's something you learn over time. And felt like this was a good deal for us, and so we made it.
Thank you.
Randy Carricker, St. Louis Sports Central.
Hi, happy Thanksgiving, first of all. Second of all, now with the addition of Clark, according to MLB Pipeline, 9 of your top 30 prospects are left-handed pitchers. Is there a method to this madness, and how valuable is it to have all this left-handed pitching?
Yeah, not necessarily any method to that. Obviously, we heck, you look at some of the pitchers on our club right now, and we probably could use a couple of those guys at the moment, right? Pitching out of our big league bullpen in a sense. But no, look, talent comes on all sides. We're not going to discriminate based on handedness. I happen to be left-handed myself, but I don't want any conspiracy theories starting with respect to that. We're just looking for talent, either side. Obviously, sometimes that ceiling is rarer to find in a lefty just because there aren't as many of them. But, that really wasn't a significant factor for us.
All right, that was Chaim Bloom speaking with the media today as the Cardinals have officially traded Sonny Gray. They have done so with the Boston Red Sox. Alex, they get a couple of really interesting young starters in return. We have basically zero time left. It's 1:51. Your time check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler. The Fast Lane, I'm sure, will have plenty of reaction to the trade and what their thoughts are on that. They'll probably talk a little bit about the St. Louis Blues. We've got a lot of talk about college football, NFL tomorrow. We'll also talk more about this trade as well. Get our reaction to Chaim Bloom's press conference. We'll play Beat the Blues tomorrow.
Hey.
We will hear from Chris Kerber tomorrow.
We might have Marty Brodeur tomorrow.
We're going to give our football picks tomorrow, which don't count towards the standings. And T-Bone next week will give his football pick'em punishment. So all of that, so much more in our final show of the week here on BK and Ferrario. For Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. We'll talk to you tomorrow. The Fast Lane's coming up next here on 101 ESPN.